I'm just too tired to fight, but there's an end in sight. Wave the white flag, I'm yours tonight. 'Cause my heart can't take these heights. I need your love with me for life. I need your love, I need your love with me for life. Yeah, some people like me are just destined to fuck up everything that we mess with. If I was made as a joke, I don't get it. Missed the call, but I guess I got the message. Usually I fall too hard, I'm addicted to pain. And if the world's on fire, I'll be swimming in flames, yeah. 'Cause I'm too impatient to wait for change. I know I'm far from perfect, oh yeah. But I know I can make it work, I know I can make it work. I'm crazy, everybody knows my name, but I don't even know my name. Going insane, pulling heavy on my brain, but I don't even know my name. It's a story about an ID crisis. Used to think my only future was the night shift. Brain on ADHD, autopilot. And through it all somehow I kept smiling. I can never find the right words to say. Only a handful of family ever sees my face. But I'm only human, don't we all make mistakes? I'm drowning in my head again, and my thoughts don't want me to win. They show compassion made of plastic, and I don't wanna be another tragedy. But I'd rather be dead than a skeleton dreaming about the things that he couldn't be. 'Cause I'm too impatient to wait for dreams.
You tell me you love me, you kiss and you hug me, have some fun. I give you a smile, hang around for a while, getting it on. And I don't really show it, but you're the only one that breaks my walls. Now baby I'm all for it, and every time that I pick up the phone, I love it when you say my name. I love it when you say my name.
Hi everyone. Hello. How's everyone doing out there? How's everyone doing? Everyone doing well? Everyone doing well? We're good. We're good. Happy. What day is it? What the hell is the day? The day is the this music is so gay. I have a treat for you. I swear to God. Not a good start. I have a treat for you. You're not starting off well today. All right? I feel like I'm inside an express store or a gay bar in the Midwest. I have a treat for you. I swear to God. I swear to God. I'm calm. It is a good day. I'm going to ignore I have a treat for you as normal. All right? Okay. uh it's 107 on Thursday, January the 15th in 2006. How is everyone? How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing out there? Let's see who we got here. Hello, Diego. Diego says I'm scared for my future. Diego, I understand. I do. You're young, so yeah, it's I know. I don't know what else to say to you. Us adults will try and fight back for you as much as we can. Um, don't be too hard on yourself. A lot of the things that you were born into are not your fault. I understand your fear. Okay. Hello, Macy. Right. Hello, Macy. I am scared too. Okay. Hello, Ninja Kitten. Ninja Kitten. Is that Skittish Kitten or is that a different person? Hello, Ninja Kitten. All right. All right. Let's see. HGJMS, out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. There you go, HGMS. Welcome back. Hello, Doug. Hello, Sir Bartholomew. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Hello, Retro Asher. Retro Asher's back. Correct. I have a treat for you. European troops have now arrived in Greenland, which is a fantastic piece of news, in my opinion. That greatly, well, I hope it does, greatly reduces the risk of a military escalation in Greenland, because it's much less likely that the United States will attack Greenland militarily if there's European troops there that are not just Greenland security forces. I hope. Okay. Um. All right. Hello, Alyssa. Alyssa's here. Hello, Alyssa. Glad to see you here. Yep. Another person was shot in Minnesota by ICE, which we'll talk about, and Trump has threatened to use the Insurrection Act. Hello, Demosthenes. Demosthenes, Vaporous Orb, for those who don't know. Ninja Kitten, Republicans have said they would vote to impeach if Trump attacks Greenland. Interesting. I didn't hear about that. Hello, Ice. Welcome. Meow, 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 Ice. Hello, A Bright Love. Great to see you here. It's all right. I know I'm chewing a whole bunch. Let's see here. I should say hello, Alice. There. Okay, Outer Signal. Hello, Outer Signal. Hello, hello, Outer Signal. We aren't dead yet, for sure. HGMS. Have you talked about Parody Law, refugee who died in ICE custody? I have not. I don't think I've heard of this person, or the Minneapolis man at the gas station who was taken away by ICE unresponsive from being shot. I have not. HGMS. Maybe I just haven't heard about it because there's been so much going on. I know, Meowzord. I know. Hello, Meowzord. Meowzord doesn't. Okay. I'll be honest with you guys. There is a press conference about to take place, and I'm too honest with you guys sometimes. The reason I like starting with press conferences is it gets more people in the stream. Okay, I got to tell you, it does. And it also is a good way. So it is partially a selfish reason why we sometimes start with a press conference. But at the same time, it also gets more people to hear the message after the press conference, and I can spend that time to dismantle some of the lies that are being spread, and we can kind of laugh at it. But I understand Meowzord. Okay, I know it's not very productive for us intellectually, but we won't watch the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, Lucky Strikes 1776, coming from someone who, if this goes tits up, will be where the fighting is hottest. It's okay to be scared. Remember, there is no bravery without fear. Absolutely, Lucky Strike 1776. Macy, how dare you, Macy? I think I said 2026. All right. Okay. Yeah, I do get a lot of engagement when you guys box with MAGA. But I get it. It is not exactly intellectually stimulating. Okay. Before they release another pathogen. It's just wait until they, I know, probably, meow sword. Gotcha. That's badass. Oh my God. So guys, Ninja Kitten is Skittish Kitten. And Ninja Kitten says, Skittish Kitten here, too effing mad to be skittish anymore. Oh my God, that's so badass. You're like a Pokemon that has evolved into its final form, Ninja Kitten. I love it. Okay. All right. Hello. Interesting. Already got hello, Vibe Hov. Hello. Bellwall. Glad to see you here. I'm just gonna call you Vi if you don't mind. VAI. Someone in here, a dick and your head are identical twins. Oh, well. Thank you. I didn't know I looked that sexy. All right. Hello, Matt Sci Guy. Okay. Hello, Louise. I did not see the Pearly Things debate. Trump failed, but I really want to see it. Okay. Was that Anna Kasparian who did that? Okay. Oh, what am I eating? I'm eating once again because I'm weird, cream of wheat with almonds and an egg in it and such. I did get some sleep, Matt Saigai. Not enough though, but I did get some. Okay. All right. Spineless Republicans. Absolutely. Okay. Pearl walked into a tank fight with a butter knife. Well, what else is new? Hello, Lord Vader. Welcome. Okay. And you get, yeah, Ninja Kitten when she stood there silently, right? Okay, hello, guys. Wow, ignoring me. Hello, Dolly Boy. Hello, Dolly Boy. You're the best. All right. Yeah, Sam, it was so cringe. Was it? I need to see it. I need to see it. Maybe we'll watch some of it. Pearl is the biggest pick, the pick me. Oh my God, Meowser, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Bro, last night a chant went up saying, defend your city and hold the line against the fascists. Soon, we won't be a no, that's for sure. Okay. All right. Hello, Mamino. No, it's not over. We're just starting, Mamino. We're just starting. Okay. Hello, Jay Shadow. All right, you guys. Oh, my goodness, Alyssa. I'm so sorry. I've been struggling with sleep. Really? Oh, poorly, Lane. Okay. Well, maybe hopefully she'll come on later. Okay. So, guys, the first thing we got going on here, and again, it's not on yet, where there is a press conference coming up with our favorite fascist, Caroline Levitt. And we're not, so what was I going to say? So we're waiting for her, and as soon as she comes on, I'll switch over to it. Oh, well, speak of the devil. Here, I think she's coming out now. So we'll watch this a little bit, and then we'll get into the stuff that's actually relevant to us, okay? So just letting you know that if we get one, I did, Louise. It's badass. It is badass. That is amazing. Yeah, Louise. I said welcome, by the way, Louise. Yeah, the guy, the union member who yelled at Trump while he was in that plant, that was really badass. Okay, so that's true, Vaporis. Or what fresh hell will be revealed in us? God knows what. Yeah, exactly. Freezery. Of course, Greenland doesn't want American healthcare or our imperialist attack, right? Insane. Absolutely insane. Caroline the Lip Kravitz. Yeah, Lucky, welcome, Walter. Lucky Strikes. Yep, the Ford guy got to retire because he told Trump to F off. Love that. Yeah, it was pretty badass. Maybe we'll watch a clip of that, too. There's so much news, it's going to be hard to get to. Okay. So it hasn't started yet.
President Trump has defeated Joe Biden's inflation crisis. Since President Trump took office, core CPI has increased at just a
I know, Louise, how he flicked him off. Yeah.
% annualized rate, substantially lower than the 3.3%
get your
annual
alcohol,
rate inherited
get your alcohol
from the
flowing.
Biden administration last January. Importantly, as inflation cools, Americans' wages are rising, giving the American people more purchasing power.
Right, HGMS.
And with what is likely going to be a record-breaking tax refund season in the next couple of weeks, the American people will be reaping the rewards of the massive tax cuts that were signed into law by the president.
Yeah.
Thanks to President Trump's signing of no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, boosting the child tax credit, and locking in the 2017...
There's no light behind those eyes. By the way, we love having you here, Walter. Thank you for stopping by. I love your comments, okay?
Trump tax cuts. Independent estimates project the average American tax filer could expect up to an extra $1,000 bump to their tax refund next year. This is going to be a helpful boost to working families who are making ends meet. On the energy front, the national average price for a gallon of regular gas this week fell to its lowest level in 5
They can do it. Thank you, Walter. So Jay Shadow asks, how can they just blatantly lie about stuff? Because there's no accountability for it. There's no accountability for their lies. Not only is there no accountability for their lies, they have a massive media apparatus that just amplifies the lies and repeats them over and over again to make it true. So reality doesn't really matter because their side of the aisle will only hear the lies and will never hear anything that goes against those lies. And as in any cult, it is a self-reinforcing lie, and that it is constructed in a way a lot of the times to make it really hard to hear the truth and believe it. Okay? Because anything that goes against the lie is just fake news, right? So it's a very tight system of sort of mind control, and not like mind control as in like conspiracy mind control, but thought control, social control. All right.
5 years, thanks to President Trump's drill baby drill agenda. According to Gas Buddy, the average price for regular gas on Monday was below $3 per gallon in 43
Alyssa, that's what I was kind of saying yesterday about the free speech thing. I think there need to be some. Anyway,
states, below $2.75 per gallon in 30 states, and at or below $2.50 per gallon in 17 states. In fact, gas prices were below $2 a gallon at stations in at least 19 states. Don't forget, this was unheard of just a couple of short years ago. Overall, drivers are projected to spend $11 billion less.
By the way, folks, if we get one super chat, I'll put on the jester hat. If we get 3, I'll put on the jester collar. If we get 5, I don't know. Maybe we'll play a game. Maybe I'll put on the makeup. I'm not sure about 5, but we need to get to 3 first.
At the gas pump this year than they did last year, resulting in hundreds of dollars in critical savings for the average
Not
American
yet, Ninja.
family.
I will eventually.
We're also seeing the housing market rebound as borrowing costs ease and income growth outpaces home price gains. According to a new report also released this week from the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales in December rose to their fastest pace in 3 years. To further improve housing affordability, President Trump...
so this is just propaganda. I'm going to move forward a bit.
Number 3,
I kind of want to get to the point where...
will maximize price transparency by requiring any healthcare provider or insurer who accepts either Medicare or Medicaid to publicly and prominently post their pricing and fees to avoid surprise medical bills.
Okay, I love this. Listen to this. I'm sorry, you do have to hear this. I love comments on... Oh my God, G-Man, why are you amazing, G-Man? Stop being so amazing and free Palestine, G-Man. Amazing. Thank you, G-Man, really, for those 5 gifted memberships. Fantastic. Well, that's enough for the hat and the collar. Okay. This comment she makes about healthcare, I think is hilarious. Let's listen to that.
Directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. Additionally, by funding a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans and ending kickbacks from pharmacy benefit managers to large brokerage middlemen. Number 3, the Great Healthcare Plan will maximize price transparency by requiring any healthcare provider or insurer who accepts either Medicare or Medicaid to publicly and prominently post their pricing and fees to avoid surprise medical bills.
Isn't that lovely? So I guess how they're going to fix our healthcare is they're going to allow us to see any surprise charges we might get, as opposed to ending the surprise charges and perhaps, really fixing the system by making it socialized and universal. We're still doing this nonsense, fake helping people by what she just said. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Maybe we should just fix the whole damn system.
An incredibly popular policy.
Yeah, I would say, Walter, not only impeachment, I think imprisonment would be nice too, don't you? I mean, I do hope that the hammer comes down after this.
That has been bipartisan for many years, and President Trump is officially and firmly calling on Congress to get it done. And number 4,
I have a treat for you.
holds big insurance companies accountable by requiring them to publish rate and coverage comparisons up front on their website.
Oh my God, how beneficent and merciful of them, folks. They're going to let you compare the healthcare prices that'll make you go bankrupt.
In plain English, so consumers and everyday Americans can make the best purchasing decisions for them and their families. These are common sense actions that make up President Trump's great healthcare plan, and they represent the most comprehensive...
Guys, okay. I'm sorry. I know this is not like that useful for all of you, but I'm sorry. My armpit itches. I got to use my bone hand to itch that. Oh my god, that feels so good. Okay, so fun thing here is that I am so sick of adjectives. So sick of adjectives that these people use. Great, it's very, it's great, it's the like can they like I know this is a small thing, but it completely destroys the use of adjectives to use them all the time in like a nonsense way. You know, this great plan, the greatest, best, beautiful. Like, okay, this is what Orwell was talking about when he talks about how under an authoritarian regime the language becomes diminished. You know, these things are meaningless now. Yeah, absolutely, Mauser. They're great for propaganda, but it just like ruins. Hello, SoCal. Hello. It just ruins their use.
And bold agenda to lower healthcare costs to have ever been considered by the federal government. Congress should immediately take up President Trump's plan and pass it into law.
Walter.
For Americans watching at home, you can visit greathealthcare.gov right now for more information on the Great Healthcare Plan. And with that, we will open it up to questions.
Okay,
In
here
our
we go.
new
This is
media
what we
seat
wanted to get
today,
to.
we have a familiar face, Riley Gaines. I'm surprised it took us a year to get you here, but I'm very happy to see you. I know you have a new podcast,
Absolutely,
The Riley Gaines
Ice.
Show.
Absolutely.
And so thank you, and you brought
You're 100% right, Ice. Rachel, they use excessive adjectives because they don't like pronouns. Very true, Rachel. Okay. Good evening, Mithril. Good evening.
a beautiful baby and your lovely husband too. So thank you so much for joining. And why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. First and foremost, congratulations to you. Being a girl mom will change your life in the best way possible.
Is this Riley Gaines? Is this actually Riley Gaines? Did she say that? I'm sorry, guys. Is she talking? Is this Riley Gaines that's here?
And your lovely husband too. So thank you so much for joining. Ever been considered by
I'm
the
sorry.
federal
I have to
government.
know if this is Riley
Congress should immediately take up President Trump's plan and pass it into law. For Americans watching at home, you can visit greathealthcare.gov right now for more information
Hello, Mark,
on the Great
welcome.
Healthcare Plan. And with that, we will open
Hello,
it up to questions.
Jose.
In our new media seat today, we have a familiar face, Riley Gaines. I'm surprised
Oh,
it took us
God.
a year to
Okay,
get
it
you
was
here, but
Riley
I'm very
Gaines.
happy to see you. I know you have a new podcast, The Riley Gaines Show. And so thank you. And you brought a beautiful baby and your lovely husband too. So thank you so much
Mithril asks, what the F are her press credentials? The answer is none.
for joining. And why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. First and foremost, congratulations to you. Being a girl mom will change your life in the best way possible. So excited you get to shop all the pink and the frilly and the bows. I was in Washington, D.C. earlier this week for the Supreme Court case.
Real fast. I'm sorry.
Uh,
I know I keep pausing it. I know you all hate me. You know how she's talking about like all the pink and the frilly and the bows? So is she trying to do gender affirming care? That sounds like she's a big fan of gender affirming stuff because like pink and frilly and bows, that's pretty gender affirming. And she seems very excited about affirming her femininity. I guess she's now pro gender affirming, things. Hey, good for her. Hopefully she now is okay with trans people. I guess, because clearly she loves gender affirming,
There were two arguments that were heard surrounding sex-based rights and if it's constitutional for states to pass laws that ultimately protect those rights for women. If the Supreme Court rules as anticipated in favor of maintaining these sex-based rights, is the administration prepared to take action against the states? I believe at this point it's 23 states that don't have those protections for women.
Absolutely. And as you
By the way, this is propaganda framing. They're talking about, regulating women's sports to keep trans women out of women's sports. Of course, it's being framed as protecting women, kind of like what the TERFs do over in the UK.
You know, Riley, the administration already has done so. We've taken action in a number of fronts against these states who are failing to uphold the president's executive orders and this administration's policy of simply protecting women in women's sports and in women's private spaces. We've gone to the mat with large universities in this country as well to try to fight for what's fair and what's just for women and girls across the country. So I know you were at the arguments. I listened to them myself as a woman and as a former athlete, and
Right,
I
as
think
a
the president
transphobe.
speaks on common sense
And
on
as a
this issue,
bootlicker.
that women's sports and private spaces should be protected, and that there are two genders, there are two sexes. That is not something we should be afraid to say in this country. And I think, frankly, it was quite alarming to not only hear a couple of justices gravel over that basic, fundamental, biological fact that men and women are different but
my
inherently
God.
equal, but we are certainly different, and women deserve such rights. We hope and expect that the Supreme Court will rule in the right way on this matter. Thank you. Gabe.
Yeah, Sir Bartholomew.
Talk about.
Sure.
What can
Yeah, Walter.
Isn't there always a lot to
always
talk
a lot
about?
to talk about.
Okay.
What can you share about the president's meeting with Maria Corina Machado? Is it
Right.
underway? What can you share about that? And then also, the president said yesterday that Delcy Rodriguez was, quote, a terrific person. Does the president trust the remaining members of the Maduro regime?
I will say, to your first question, the meeting was about to begin as I was stepping out of the Oval Office moments ago, so my understanding is that it's underway right now. I know the president was looking forward to this meeting, and he's was expecting it to be a good and positive discussion with Ms. Machado, who is really a remarkable
Hello,
and brave
Ivana.
voice for many of the people of Venezuela. So the president looks forward to obviously talking to her about the realities on the ground in the country and what is taking place. As
Correct,
for Ms.
G-Man.
Rodriguez, the president did speak with her directly this week. As you know, he revealed that to all of you yesterday. And Secretary Rubio and the administration have been in constant communication with Ms. Rodriguez and other members of the interim government in Venezuela. They have been
Yeah, G-Man.
extremely cooperative. They have thus far met all of the demands and requests of the United States and of the president. And I think you have all seen that play out. We obviously had a $500 million energy deal that was struck in large part because of the cooperation from Ms.
I like
Rodriguez.
how they always use the word
Venezuela
energy.
and Ms. Rodriguez
You
have
know, even though
also confirmed that they will
don't
be
wanna say
releasing
oil.
political
It's an
prisoners from
energy deal.
Venezuela.
It's not
there were
an
5
oil extraction
Americans
deal.
who were recently released this week as well. So the president likes what he's seeing and will expect that cooperation to continue.
And regarding the investigation into the leak that the president referenced yesterday, what is the administration's position on the Washington Post reporter? The Post has reported that she was told that she is not a target of the investigation. Does the administration believe she did anything wrong? And then also, what is the administration's position on
Of course,
the
Lucky.
Pentagon Papers case from the 1970s that affirmed reporters' right to publish classified information under certain circumstances?
Well, since this is an active investigation, I don't want to comment on it much more than what we did yesterday to obviously confirm the investigation. And
Yeah, they're investigating a Washington Post reporter.
can confirm what the Attorney General stated and the President as well, which is that the individual, unfortunately, a contractor at the Pentagon, chose to unlawfully leak classified and very serious information to
By
this
the way,
Washington
this is
Post
not only
reporter.
the Trump
Hence
administration
why
that
the
has been
reporter's
authoritarian
home,
going after
was
leakers.
looked into by the
Obama
FBI, rightfully
went after
so.
Snowden.
And the administration
Okay,
is
Snowden
not going to
should not-
tolerate
should be
leaks,
free to come back to the
especially
United
from
States and should
within
be
the
pardoned.
national security apparatus
Okay.
of the United States government.
So this has been an
that put
ongoing
our
problem. We
nation's
can't only blame the
integrity and
Trump
our national
administration.
security
Multiple
at
presidential
risk. Full
administrations
stop.
have gone after
The president will
leakers.
not support that. I know the Secretary of War will not support that, and it will not stand. And legal action will be taken against
Now,
anyone, whether it's a member of the press or whether it's an employee for a federal agency who breaks the law. If you break the law and if you endanger our men and women in uniform, you are going to be held accountable, period, full stop.
But does this
Jackie.
administration-
Yeah, I'm
does this
sorry,
administration-
Malzord. I should frame it this way. Even Obama's administration went after the journalists who got leaked information. I kind of framed that badly. But this is not the only administration to go after journalists, too, who have tried to leak information. Yeah, but thank you for the correction, Malzor.
should believe that this
Absolutely,
reporter, any
Chris, not our
reporter,
friend at
has
all.
a right to publish classified information under certain circumstances.
Look, I think that we do not believe that individuals who have been given the privilege of holding a top secret clearance should be illegally leaking that classified information, and I know the American people agree with that. And I think it's a basic tenet of journalistic integrity not to publish information that could directly endanger the operational security or the brave men and women who are serving this country in uniform and putting themselves in harm's way to protect not just the people of this administration, but all of you in the press and all of their fellow Americans as well. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. I wanted to get the White House reaction to Iranian state TV broadcasting an implicit threat to President
Right,
Biden.
Meow
It's
Zord.
images of the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, according to reports, with the message, "This time it will not go wrong."
I have not seen that, to be honest with you, Jackie. We'll take a look, and I'll let the president and his national security team examine that footage to ensure its legitimacy. Again, I haven't seen it, so
Yeah,
I
sure,
can't
I'll tell
comment
you.
on it. What I will say with respect to Iran is that the president and his team have communicated to the Iranian regime that if the killing continues, there will be grave consequences. And the president received a message as he revealed
gonna be
to all of
talking
you
about
and the
Iran
whole
a
world
bit today,
yesterday,
folks.
that the killing and the executions will stop.
Right,
And the
Alyssa?
president understands today that 800
I know, Walter.
executions that were scheduled
Right,
and
G-Man.
supposed to take place yesterday were halted. And so the president and his team are closely monitoring this situation, and all options remain
Me
on
too,
the
I have
table
a
for the
treat for you.
president.
You said it, I
Encouraged
didn't say
him,
it, but I agree.
Against strikes.
Look, it's true that President spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu, but I would never detail details
good.
about their conversation.
I'm sure that
without
went well.
giving the expressed approval by
Sure,
the president
Netanyahu
himself.
has the best interest of Iran and America in
is it still
his
the president's
beliefs.
assessment that it would
right?
be very hard for Ms. Machado to leave Venezuela?
I know we all are big
because
fans
he
of
says she
Netanyahu
lacks
here,
the
right?
Respect and support
Right? Well, let's
in
see
that
some love
country,
for
and will
Netanyahu
he
here in
raise that
chat. I
with
know
her
you
too?
all love him to death.
I think the president's assessment that you just pointed out was based on realities on the ground. It was a realistic assessment based on what the president was reading and hearing from his advisors.
There you
and
go,
national
Lucky
security
Strikes.
team.
Yeah,
and at this
there we
moment
go.
in time, his opinion on that matter has not changed.
He has also said that he would like there to be elections in Venezuela when the time is right.
That's right.
Do you have any update on when that might be, and is he committed to a transition to democracy
dare you,
for
Manzaga.
Venezuela?
Yes, and he is also committed to hopefully seeing elections in Venezuela one day, but I don't have an updated timetable for you today. Reagan in the back.
Oh, of course, G-Man, of course.
Question for you on Minnesota. and
G-Man, could you send that to me?
Sure.
If that's true, would you maybe send me that article? You don't have to. If you don't want to, you can send it on Discord. I'm curious to read about that. You said there's a leaker who said that Netanyahu advised against a strike because Israel was unprepared for the response. Interesting.
President Trump threatened invoking the Insurrection Act today in a Truth Social post. I'm wondering what his tipping point is. Like, what would it
Thank
take
you,
for
Walter.
him to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Look, that's only a question, frankly, Reagan, the president can answer. But the Insurrection Act is a tool at the president's disposal. As you know, it has been used sparingly, but it has been used by previous presidents in American history. And I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal
Oh my God, they have no
law
self-reflection. I'm
enforcement
sorry, I'll keep
officers
it
who
playing.
are
They have no
encouraging,
self-reflection.
left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement
What has Trump been doing the
operations.
entire time
And
he's
if
been
you
in
talk
office
to
and
any law
previously?
enforcement officer, no matter what level they work at, they want to be working with their counterparts, whether that's at the federal level or the federal authorities wanting to work with their counterparts at the state and local level. And it's truly shameful that now for more than a year, you've had elected Democrat governors and mayors who have basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement.
Right,
Why?
Meow Zord.
They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred
You're
for
right,
President
Dolly
Trump.
Boy, hilarious.
And they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a result. And these Democrat mayors and governors are doing this over what? Over the lawful
Ice.
and legitimate law enforcement operations to remove violent criminals
Ninja.
from the
I've seen
streets
things like
of
that.
Minnesota, from the streets of California,
Right,
from the
Macy?
streets of New York, and from the streets of every state across this country. And you don't see these riots and this vandalism taking place in states like Florida.
Yeah, there's a
Why?
baby duck.
Because you have a governor in that state who has empowered federal and local authorities to work together. And it's despicable what we're seeing from these Democrat politicians, especially in sanctuary states and cities across the country.
Yesterday, Caroline.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, thank you so much. My question is, President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
Yep. Did you guys hear about that? He was talking about canceling the next election.
I believe you're
One
referring to the
theory, by
president's
the
interview at Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview. Obviously, there
Hello,
was
in your
not
groove.
audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, "We're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling." But he was speaking facetiously.
And then one more
Sure.
on
Right.
the labor secretary.
I believe
She's
that.
under investigation.
There is a theory out there, folks, that has been there have been people that have leaked the idea that Trump would love to declare martial law. First use the Insurrection Act, then declare martial law, and then cancel the next election and blame martial law. Which I don't know. There's like not much evidence of this, but I don't think necessarily it should be, I don't know. I wouldn't be joking about that if I were him. I don't think he is joking, but he definitely wasn't joking, guys. Like, come on. Even if he was joking, you don't make that joke. Like, I can't even imagine like a George W. Bush type character making that joke. All right. Right, Jennifer? Right. Like, who would make that joke? That is not funny. And nor would anyone. Okay. Imagine if a Democrat made that joke. Imagine if Obama had jokingly said, "You know what? I think we'll run for a third term." What would the right wing would have done? What would the entire right wing spectrum have done? Okay.
Have you spoken to her about this?
I don't know if the president has spoken directly to the secretary. If they have, I'm unfamiliar with that conversation. But I have spoken to the
it is
president
obvious,
about that
Lucky
report
Strikes, but
regarding the secretary. He's aware of the internal
I'm
investigation,
hyper
and he
cautious
stands by the
just because
secretary.
we don't
and he
have
thinks
concrete
that
evidence.
She's doing a
I
tremendous
think there's
job
lots
at the
of
Department of Labor
indications.
on behalf of
Yeah.
American workers.
Yep, they
PBS,
have,
go ahead.
Louise.
You were mentioning a moment ago about working federal, state, local
Louise.
officials in Minneapolis. Governor Walz's office is saying today that he's trying
Hello,
to get a hold
Micah
directly with the president. Have they spoken? And if they haven't, why haven't they spoken? If there's the desire from Walz, they're saying to de-escalate what's happening there.
I'm not sure if that's a genuine offer to speak with the president.
Thank you, G-Man.
I was
Thank
with the
you.
president about 30 minutes ago, and they hadn't spoken at that point. Look, the president is always willing to answer the phone when people pick up and call. When there was another tragic shooting many months ago in Governor Walz's state, he spoke directly with the governor. But I would ask that the governor stops inciting the harassment and illegal obstruction of law enforcement
Bride of
in
Chucky.
his state.
Hello,
All ICE and
there's some
federal
great
law
comments
enforcement
in
are
here.
trying to do are remove people like this off of the streets.
Guys, I've told you this. This is a classic piece of propaganda. It has been used throughout American history. If you want to scare Americans, show a bunch of mug shots of scary people of color. Do we not see that this is a complete this is a trend? Did I not mention this before? Like, why do you think they have this ready and pasted out? Okay, look at these scary black people and brown people. Oh, like, okay, we get it. We get it. Which proves, by the way, that there is a major strain of racism inherent on their side. All right? Because this doesn't work unless you do have an inherent fear or an inherent disdain for people of color. You know? So, okay.
Governor Walz's city in Minneapolis and of his state in Minnesota. If you look at some of the individuals in this photo, these are all illegal alien criminals.
Oh, 100%, Joey. Both Republicans and Democrats are bad, okay? Not denying that at all. Unfortunately, right now, we have a far-right president who is significantly dangerous, okay? So right now, the big threat is the Republicans and Trump. We also need to reform the Democrats.
Came into our country under the previous administration. This is some of the most disturbing crimes you will ever read about. And there's only a few reporters in this room who will actually talk about these individuals. This is all ICE is trying to do. They are trying to remove people.
Now, guys, what is the coded language here? The coded language is, this is all ICE is trying to do. They're going to get rid of all these scary, dark-skinned people. That's the subtext, folks. All that ICE is trying to do is get rid of all these scary, dark-skinned people, okay? So y'all need to calm down, okay? Exactly, G-Man.
Like this from Governor Walz's state. And so, yes, he should pick up the phone and he should say that he will
Right in the
cooperate
roof.
with this president and with the federal government in making Minnesota safer, because that's all President Trump and his administration want to do. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. The president says he wants money to
Right.
go directly to Americans so they can buy their own insurance. How exactly would this work? And can the president assure Americans that this will be enough to cover their health care costs?
So this is the second principle in the president's healthcare plan, lowering
healthcare plan, right?
Premiums specifically, and ensuring that that money is going directly back to the American people and cutting the kickbacks that then raise those premiums. So this plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments, and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy.
Which, by the way, you're right. So it stops those subsidies from going directly to insurers, and then instead it gives the money to the average American, who then spends it to give it to an insurer. You understand that, right? They're just adding an extra step. Or it goes directly to the care provider. So it's not like what they're giving to individual Americans is not going to go to the insurance companies. It's either going to go to the insurance companies or to a care provider. So it's not for the American citizen. They're removing the subsidies and then making you give it to a care provider or an insurance company. You get to choose who to give it to, but you're still the one who gives it, all right? So it's still going to those same people. We get that, right? And then prices go up, right? It's complete bullshit. It's a lie, and it's a very small amount of money they give you. It's like, what, $1,200? Which, for those who don't know, is like, what, one visit to an ER? Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. Yeah.
The health insurance of their choice through, you may have heard it be referred to as health savings accounts. Whether that ends up being the actual name of such accounts, we'll have to see. Again, Congress and the White House are going to work together to put this plan into action. And then secondly, the Great Healthcare Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%. And that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
20 million Americans in recent weeks have seen their health care costs soar. Can he assure them that if this plan is put in place, that they will be able to cover those costs?
If this plan is put in place,
there you go,
every single American who has health care in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see.
Okay. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind with the healthcare, folks. Can we fucking do something about the healthcare in this country? It is literally the dumbest imaginable thing. It is like so triggering for me to hear about this bullshit. Okay? We do know that every other, I've said this 1,000 times. I know. It doesn't matter because you all know, but why the fuck won't our fellow, sorry, I shouldn't be cursing so much. Why won't our fellow citizens, okay. Every other Western industrialized wealthy nation has universal socialized healthcare. Makes their systems much less expensive. They have better health outcomes and they live longer. The reason it's so expensive here is because we have a middleman that doesn't need to exist, and that is called health insurance companies, who literally are just middlemen that make everything, all the prices of everything go up because they're making a profit off of you being unhealthy. All right. So how about we, the people of the United States, control our own health care? I know. People are like, we don't want the government to take over our health care. In a functioning democracy, the government represents you. How about we frame it as the American people control the healthcare system as opposed to letting private tyrants do it and choose the cost that we have to pay to survive? That's why it's so expensive, all right? Because it's privatized. All right? It is so immoral. We're barbaric. We are a barbaric country full of a bunch of barbarians that we let people die because they don't have the money for healthcare. Like, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay, I'm sorry. And then we keep doing this bullshit, mess around the edges. Make the capitalist free market healthcare slightly less bad. And then we completely forget that it doesn't matter because it's still privately owned, so they can set the price they want to set. All right, okay. It's insane.
More transparency. All of these proposals that are within the Great Healthcare Plan are incredibly popular with the American people, and they will impact everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single.
And if you don't think that is not okay, You're absolutely right, a bright love. If you don't think that that is a form of violence against all of you, it is. It is not direct violence where like a cop comes in and beats your skull in, but it is still violence, right? It is violence that is done to you. The fact that you can't get health care without suffering horribly or losing your or going bankrupt or going into debt, it is insane to me. Like you can't help it. I know someone who has Crohn's disease. They were born with Crohn's disease. They've had to go they went bankrupt because they couldn't afford the medication they need to survive. It is stupid. I don't know how else to frame it. That we're okay with that. And it's massively violent. It is indirect violence against you and I. Okay? All right.
American will continue to see their costs go down. And I will note that they already are with respect to prescription drug prices. When you look at what the president has done with most favored nations, you've seen these big pharmaceutical companies in the Oval Office saying that this president and his team were nonstop around the clock pressuring us and negotiating with us.
I'm sorry. Okay. We have a great member of the community in here named Winter Linde. Winter Linde is German. Listen to what Winter Linde says. Went to the ER yesterday, 3 x-rays, head examination, arm cast, half an hour wait time, went out the door. We then went out the door. No bill. No bill. Didn't have to pay a single damn thing. We are the wealthiest country in human history, folks. The wealthiest country in human history, or at least one of the top 2. What the hell are we doing? Okay? Germany's a wealthy country, but it's much smaller than the US and not as wealthy. They can do it. We can do it. Like, what are we doing? It's insane to me. I can't. I'm going to lose my mind. Free Luigi, by the way. Jesus Christ, free Luigi.
I don't know where I want to.
Clicked a wrong button. Okay, it's over. We're done. We're done with that. We'll stop with that. We're done with that. Okay. I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. I need another bite of this food. Okay. Okay. All right. So, how's everyone doing out there? You know, I once worked in a school in, I'm going to put my face up here for a second. I once worked at a school in a very low income area, okay, of Indianapolis. And one of my students came in. Now, these were adults. I was working at a school that was teaching adults who didn't have their high school diplomas. She comes in and there are bruises all over her face. Okay. She had bruises on her face. She was kind of limping. Like it looked like this woman had just come out of getting mugged or something. Turned out that the night before, her boyfriend had decided to pistol whip her and beat her basically into a pulp. The police came by. Well, let's put it this way. The police did come, and she refused to be taken to an ER because she couldn't afford it. And you know what? Like, she wouldn't have been able to survive if she had gone to the ER because she had 2 kids and was on welfare. So she had to come to school trying to get an education to help her 2 kids while bruised and battered after being beaten by her boyfriend because she could not afford the cost of going to an ER. Like, I'm not, like, it is insane, folks, that we've created a system that does that to people. It is, right? Insane. Okay. All right. I know, guys, it's disgusting to me. It is disgusting that we let these sort of things happen. I can tell you all sorts of other stories too. All sorts of other stories. All right. Like the women who, if we want to, okay, you know what? All right. I'm going to lose my mind. All right. So, and by the way, folks, I also get annoyed that we don't talk more about dental care also. And we all know, for the people in my community, you know that a lot of us have issues with teeth. Like, we do know that teeth used to kill people back, like, before we had modern dentistry. Teeth used to kill people a lot. Teeth would get infected, people would die. Like, but people have to walk around suffering with horrible teeth pain or with rotting teeth, which reduces your life expectancy. And okay, whatever. You guys get it. Okay. And teeth aren't really included in a lot of treatment. Okay. Ugh. Okay, I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. Well, why is an emergency paywall? G-Man, I know. G-Man, it's not. It's paywalled because we have a monstrous free market capitalist system here that is all about profit, even when it comes to helping people. Okay? Jesus. Yeah, Dolly Boy, we're like we are way behind other civilized countries. You guys know when I use that word, I don't mean it. I don't mean like there are civilized and uncivilized countries. I'm using it as a rhetorical point to highlight how backwards the United States is and how it treats its citizens. Okay? And how the American people seem to be okay with it. It's so disgusting to me. Okay, excellent, Stan. Yep, that's insane, Stan. Like, okay. Yeah, I know, J-Mac, right? Okay. By the way, folks, one last thing about our healthcare system. There is an element of social control baked into this, right? Because you get your healthcare through your employer. That makes it a lot harder to quit a job if you're being abused at work, or if you're, let's say, you're being harassed at work, or if you just don't like the work environment and it's destroying your mental health. Exactly, KT Groovy. Like, having the idea of, like, if you leave your job, you're suddenly not going to be able to afford that vital medication, or you're not going to be able to afford that whatever it is that you need. That is, it's barbaric, and it's a form of social control. All right? Because it definitely makes it harder to leave a job. It gives you much less freedom. It suppresses your freedom, right? You're no longer free by doing that, okay? By forcing people to stay in positions when they need to survive. So, ICE VR dentistry in the UK is pretty much private now. Yeah, that's an issue in the UK. The UK needs to nationalize its dentistry industry as well, in my opinion. G-Man says, I'm ignorant on this, but did Obamacare help a bit at least? What reprieve do poor people have? So, Obamacare helped a little bit. It got a lot of people more healthcare who didn't have it before. But it was better than what came before, but it was basically forced you to buy from private health insurers. So it ended up not working over time because the problem is still there. You still have private healthcare who can set the cost at whatever they want, essentially. I'm exaggerating slightly. So Obama's plan was deeply flawed, and he's praised as like this genius and this great guy. Yeah, he helped the healthcare system a bit. But do we know who first implemented the Affordable Care Act? Yeah, Ivana, getting rid of pre-existing was a huge help, all right? I'm not diminishing that it helped a lot of people, but it was still not a great fix. Romney, thank you, a bright love. It was a Republican governor of Massachusetts who came up with the plan, or didn't come up with it. It was actually the Heritage Foundation that came up with it and was implemented by Mitt Romney. It is a conservative plan, or at least a moderate plan. It was not a left-wing plan, and there were massive flaws baked into it. The main problem, folks, is we need to nationalize the healthcare system. It was a nice temporary fix, and it helped a lot of people, but the problem remains, as you can tell. And it hasn't been helped by the fact that the Republicans have just been dismantling it left and right. Okay? Jesus. So, all right. All right. Let me take another bite here. I'm calm. I am calm. So, guys, we have some other stuff to talk about, all right? Thank you for suffering through Caroline Levitt with me. Absolutely, thank you for that. Now, I'm going to pull up some stuff for us to look at. There's some news out here. Can a nonprofit become an insurance company? Perhaps we can use existing healthcare structure to lower healthcare costs. No, I am sorry. I have a treat for you. This is the problem, guys. There is one fix to the healthcare system. All the other ones are working around the edges, and the problem can still reappear. We need to nationalize the healthcare industry. All right? We do. If it's privatized, there's a profit motive, which ridiculously increases the costs of everything. Because not only does the cost of what you're buying, so like, let's say you have a Tylenol at a hospital that would normally be 50 cents per pill. The hospital needs to make a profit. So it jacks up the cost of that Tylenol to $15. Then the insurance company has to pay out that $15. And they need to make sure that they're making a profit. So they make sure you have as few benefits as possible so that they can still make a profit while dishing out your health care, which further raises costs, okay, and makes healthcare more and more expensive. Okay, you see what I mean? There's all these layers involved where it gets more and more expensive because of all these layers. We just need to nationalize it. Yeah, we just need to nationalize it, folks. Like, that is the way to fix a lot of these problems. And if you think that'll make it, that'll increase our taxes, yes, it will. But guess what? Not only will it increase your taxes, it will decrease you will no longer be getting healthcare costs taken out of your paychecks. Okay? Or if you do, if we decide to take that as a tax out of your paycheck, it'll be less than the amount that's being taken out now that is being sent to private insurance companies. Okay? Bye-bye, Groovy. So it would decrease costs. And will it be perfect? Will it be perfect? No, it will not. But guess what? That's what legislation is for. You can fix the system over time, repair loopholes, other issues. It would still be better than the system we have now, which we're constantly having to fix because it's constantly failing. You see what I mean? Bye-bye, Stan. Goodbye, Stan. Exactly, J-Mac. Thank you so much, Dolly Boy. Thank you so much for that super chat, really. Okay, so anyway, I'm calm. I've been so bothered by, how we Americans allow ourselves to be treated when we can see examples all around us of how we can do it better. But the elites and stuff will never let that happen. Yo, my God, G-Man. Guys, for the Americans in here, listen to G-Man. G-Man, oh, you poor soul. You're so lucky you don't know the answer to this question, okay? G-Man says, I know that corporate stuff is very labyrinthine with a bunch of bureaucratic legalese. Am I right in assuming that dealing with insurance papers and calls is a major hassle? What do we think, folks? Is G-Man right about that? Is it a big hassle to have to deal with your insurance company and constantly call around and figure out if something's going to be covered and figure out when you go to the ER how much it's going to cost and have to fill out paperwork if you like? Is G-Man right on track by saying that? Yeah, they make it a major hassle and they make it on purpose. They do it on purpose. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mira says, G-Man, I had to make 5 different calls to make sure I was covered for a procedure. It's insane. It's insane, okay? You have no idea how lucky you are here when it comes to healthcare. No, lucky you are yeah, exactly, virtual, right? G-Man, that's half the game. Make paperwork so tedious, people won't do it. Yep, that's the problem we have with the requirements they want for SNAP, disability. Jesus Christ. And you're billed separately all the time. Yeah, it's insane in your groove. In your groove. Yes, we had a years-long saga because the hospital bill went to the wrong insurance. 10 calls to fix it. And by the way, guys, the number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States to this day is still health. Think about that. Think about that. The number one reason that we think it's okay for people to go bankrupt in this country is because they can't afford necessary health care. It is insane. It is insane. Yeah. Oh, G-Man, I know, right? I know, G-Man. G-Man, I do appreciate you saying that. It can sometimes be hard as an American when you're hated around the world, and understandably, when your government is hated around the world, it can be sometimes hard for people abroad to understand how much Americans suffer at the hands of their government. I'm not excusing Americans for their passivity in the face of their government. I'm just saying, thank you for acknowledging that it is not easy. Okay, I know I'm a weak American for saying that, but like, all right. We are very screwed over by our government, and then our government also screws over the entire planet. Okay? All right. So, okay. So, let's go on, folks. All right. So, some things to talk about. We got some other stuff to talk about. I wanted to show you all. Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. So, there's some big news items, guys, that we need to talk about. All right. Big news items to talk about here, folks. I have a look. I even made a little list of some of the things I want to talk about so I can stay on track because I know I'm so bad at getting off track here, folks. Okay, Trump threatens insurrection act, shooting in Minneapolis, Klippenstein. Okay, so if you guys heard, last night there was a shooting in Minneapolis where basically what the official line here is, there was another shooting in Minneapolis. The official line here is that last night there was some ICE agents going after a Venezuelan foreign national. That foreign national got into a car and fled. Agents proceeded to crash his car into a car on the side of the road, got out of the car. An ICE agent came at him. The man who was running started fighting with the ICE agent. Of course, the reports would say that he viciously attacked the ICE agent. And then coming out of a nearby house became two other people who ended up gaining up on the ICE agent. I'm not sure who did, but one or two of them had a snow shovel or a stick, apparently, and started hitting the ICE agent. Again, this is the official narrative. I do not for a second believe all of this. We need more proof of any of this. And the result of this was the agent apparently felt threatened and fired a shot and shot one of these people in the leg. Okay. So that is something that happened, prompting many more protests in Minneapolis. Trump then went on to announce that President Donald Trump has been threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act for a very long time. Okay. And he is now saying he wants to invoke it to send in the military into Minnesota to crack down. Okay. So he wants to send the National Guard into Minnesota, which is very authoritarian. We'll take a look at this, J-Mac. I don't know. Is it going badly right now? Oops, sorry. Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, it's okay for now. So there are protests going on right now. I will always be alive. So okay. Like, exactly, guys. So that is what the reports are. We obviously, not much has come out. Not much has come out, so we don't know, but that's the official narrative. I want to point out, though, we don't trust the official narrative in this community, okay? We always got to wait until there's more evidence. Hey, guys, it's possible that's true. It is possible that's what happened, but we just don't know. So we can't take it on face value, especially not from this government. Yeah, he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act. Yes, he does. He wants to invoke the Insurrection Act. Okay. Oh, yeah, obviously not an insurrection in your groove, but he wants to do it because that's an authoritarian crackdown and it makes him look big and strong. And since he has such a small penis, he needs to think the world, he needs the world to think he is, I'm sorry, I should be, this is a during the day stream. I shouldn't say these things. Okay. But I was like, he'll invoke the Insurrection Act, whether a civilian hits an ice with a shovel or not. Oh, you're absolutely not right, Meowzord. Like I've said before, folks, it is a matter of statistics that if you beat people down and you oppress them, you take them off the streets, you humiliate them, you take their family members and throw them into prisons and deport them, you're going to get some resistance. And some of that resistance will be violent. They know this, right? I have no doubt they are waiting for the perfect moment to use some resistive violence as an excuse, kind of like Israel does against Palestine. Okay, you see what I mean? And then crack down, right? It's just a matter of statistics. Think about it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, lucky strikes. And I guess one bit of silver lining, if you want to view it that way, lucky strikes, is that it didn't actually kill the protester or shot them in the leg. Still, I'm not defending it. Okay. Exactly, Meowser. Either they're saying well, I'm saying the perfect moment will either be natural or fabricated. Yeah, exactly, Meowser. If not a combination of both. It could be a small incident that they then fabricate into this big assault, right? Okay. So I know it's not a silver lining. I'm just saying for the sake of that person's life, I'm glad they didn't die. But regardless, things are not going things are really getting out of control. It looks here, guys. This is a live feed. Oh, okay, you know what? Let's briefly turn over to this. The police are moving in. There was also, by the way, an account that came out yesterday that, oh my God, look at all these pigs. An account came out yesterday that there was a family sitting in a car with a baby, and ICE fired a tear gas canister into the car, almost causing the baby stopped breathing because the baby was not able to breathe because of the tear gas canister fired into their car. This family had nothing to do with any of the protests.
They've shot tear gas or gas into the crowds. Police.
Guys, by the way, I don't know, Alyssa. I think these are just police. By the way, guys, I know Tim Walz has been pretty strong-worded, but I want to be clear. When he's saying he's going to activate the National Guard to protect Minnesota citizens, he's using political framing. If he means probably activating them to stop looting and rioting and things like that. He's just not going to say that, right? So he at least appears strong, and I like some of the things Tim Walz does, but that does not mean I've heard some lefties and goes like, oh, he's going to use the National Guard against ICE. He didn't say that. He did not say that. He said he's going to use it to protect citizens of Minnesota, and did not say what he meant by that. And I can tell you it's a trend that a lot of times governors will activate the National Guard when there are mass protests. It doesn't mean he's going to use them against ICE, okay? And he had strong words for ICE, but he didn't imply he was going to use any kind of force. I want to point that out. And honestly, at this point, that might not be the best move unless, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to think about the strategic value of that. But, I mean, that'd be kind of cool. But that might spark civil war. Regardless, there's lots of things we can consider.
You can't see the officers as they...
Trying to see here. So, all right. So this is happening right now. We'll keep that. I'll keep an eye on that in case more stuff breaks out. That is live. So some other things I wanted to cover with all you. So that was stuff that happened there. We also have a clip here of Ken Klippenstein. Let me get this up here. All right. I know Lucky Strike. And you know what's weird, folks? As a historian, Lucky Strikes, you may know what I'm talking about. A lot of times in the United States, the Civil War or things that are Civil War adjacent occur between state governments and the federal government. And I've always thought that that was one line that could cause a Civil War level fracture, was a state versus federal government conflict. And, so if a state were to start doing that, that would technically be insurrection, which would spark a civil war, or could spark at least a violent conflict between the state government and the federal government. It's just an interesting thing to think about. So, where did I put my Reacts channel? Here we go.
Watch this clip of Sam Altman having a...
Yeah, you're right, Lucky Strikes. You're right. And if they, especially if they're afraid. Okay, so I wanted to quickly show you some things here.
This is democracy.
So Democracy Now! Is an excellent source. Amy Goodman is a god amongst human beings. She has been in the fight for democracy and freedom and progressivism and things like that for generations. She's not perfect by any means, but she's a really great journalist. Democracy Now! Is a great non-corporate news source that thrives off funding, off contributions. It is not a corporate entity. It is nonprofit, very good. She had Ken Klippenstein on to talk about some of the revelations about how of ICE tactics and recruitment. And I thought we could watch it a little bit. Another report came out today by Ken Klippenstein revealing a bunch of secret programs that ICE has been and Homeland Security have implemented. And I haven't fully read through the article because it came out not that long before I got on, but there are some revelations coming out. So let's watch this real fast together just to learn about what some of the revelations from yesterday are from Ken Klippenstein.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. We look now more at how ICE is recruiting thousands of new deportation officers. A report by the Washington Post shows ICE plans
to
spend $100 million for a, quote, wartime recruitment strategy that targets gun rights supporters, military enthusiasts through online influencers, along with people who've attended UFC fights, listened to far-right podcasts, or shown interest in guns and tactical.
So if you guys look here, this is some of the propaganda we've been looking at. That propaganda has been directed at recruiting people to ICE. And remember, a lot of that propaganda has far right-wing dog whistles in it. Literally, explicitly white nationalist, Nazi, fascist dog whistles. So who do you think they want to fill up their ranks of ICE with? If it's directed at Nazis and far-right people. That's exactly who they want in ICE. Do we remember that video of that ICE agent that had an SS emblem on his neck?
Gear. It uses the ad industry technique known as geofencing to send ads to people.
Remember this one? We'll have our home again. That is a quote from a white nationalist, far-right song that is extremely, called the Mannerbund.
People near military bases, NASCAR races, college campuses, or gun shows.
That's kind of funny, though, how they're advertising at NASCAR races.
Some of ICE's recruitment ads appear to refer to white nationalist slogans.
Look at this. Look at this. America after 100 million deportations, and it looks like a paradise. That is some creepy-ass shit right there, okay?
Openly quote them after
By the way, there's only over 300 million people in the United States.
Agent Jonathan Ross killed Renee Good in Minneapolis. An ad on ICE's Instagram account claimed, quote, "We'll have our home again," and featured a song popular among white nationalists with lyrics about reclaiming our home by blood or sweat.
Yes.
Our next guest is investigative reporter Ken Klippenstein. He has a new report headlined Immigration Agents.
That is who posted that, J-Mac.
Terrified of ICE backlash after shooting. That includes leaked documents showing ICE and Border Patrol are seeking
By the way, you can read these articles by Ken Klippenstein on Substack. I recommend you do. They're very good.
Volunteers for the surge in operations in Minneapolis, with one agent saying, quote, "Keyword is it's on a voluntary basis. If no experienced senior agents step up, they send the new guys straight out of the academy. Not a good idea."
It is,
Welcome back, Ken. Lay out.
He looks like an SS soldier. I mean, like the coat and stuff. Like he looks like a fascist, or even an Italian fascist. Okay.
You found.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for having me. Well, one of the most surprising parts of reporting on this was seeing the disjunct between the Department of Homeland Security's public-facing description of the shooting, this bravado they had, Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem immediately labeling her a terrorist.
Yeah, this is Ken Klippenstein.
Pretty much dragging her corpse through the streets as she sullied her name in the public consciousness, again, within just a couple of hours of the shooting. And then you talk to people that
Guys, can I mention something? You know how I posted that video of my dad when he got on the stream? I posted on YouTube when he got on the stream and he was very upset about what had happened to Renee Good, and he just kind of ranted for a while and kind of got it off his chest to all of you. Underneath that video have only been negative comments, except for one person who made a positive comment, and absolutely inhumane society, and they're very cruel. First of all, a lot of those people thought that my dad was Renee Good's father, and they make comments like you should have raised your daughter better. And, maybe they should come after you next, Grandpa. And this is, really cruel things. And there's a lot of them. And it might be that some of them are bots. But when Ken Klippenstein says they are kind of dragging her body through the streets in celebration, it's kind of true how they celebrate it. And it's really disturbing. Okay?
For Homeland Security privately, and a very different picture emerges. They're very conscious of the protests that are taking place in Minneapolis. They're very concerned about it. And there's splits within the agency about the shooting itself and the general mission. The reason they are going to these volunteers is because they're worried about sending more experienced agents there who might not agree with the mission. And none of that is stuff you hear when you look at the public-facing officials in the Trump administration describing these incidents and the department.
Talk about the budget, the massive increase in the budget that, by the way, could lead to another government shutdown by the end of the month, right? Because you have people like Chris Murphy, the Democratic senator who heads the subcommittee on
Inhumane Society. I didn't say it. You said it, okay?
on Homeland Security, saying they're not going to endorse this budget. On Tuesday, the Congressional Progressive Caucus vowed to oppose new funding for the Department of Homeland Security unless it includes new reforms. This is Congressmember Ilhan Omar of Minneapolis.
We cannot and we should not continue to fund agencies that operate with impunity, that escalate violence, and that undermine the very freedoms this country claims to uphold.
No, why are you apologizing, Inhumane Society? I don't want you to apologize. I'm just saying that I can't say that, but I'm glad you said it, okay?
And meanwhile, Tuesday evening, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut and others joined hundreds of protesters outside D.C. headquarters of Customs and Border Protection, said he supports the appropriations bill.
Hey, Bright Love, you're a nerd. Okay, you're a nerd.
To push for changes at ICE.
All right.
The United States Congress should not fund a Department of Homeland Security.
Okay, I don't need to talk about the Democrats.
That is not obeying the laws of the United States of America.
Ken Klippenstein, are we seeing some changes in Democrats' positions here?
Absolutely. Among Democratic voters, among Congress, there is some opposition, but among congressional leadership, they've made it very clear that they are not willing to shut down the government over this. They asked Senator Cory Booker this, for instance, yesterday on MS Now, and he said no, the last shutdown didn't work. Chuck Schumer had to be dragged kicking and screaming to even do the shutdown earlier this year to play hardball with the Republicans after he folded instantly at the beginning of the second Trump administration. So there are definitely splits within the caucus, but among leadership, there's opposition to the idea. That being said, among the public, there's been a sea change in opinion with respect to ICE and the deportations. Where there was more openness to it when Trump first came into office, that picture has completely flipped.
Yeah.
And it's a deeply unpopular proposition.
Spineless.
And that's what the opposition among the Homeland Security officials that I interviewed for my story are reflective of. They're part of the public, too, to some extent. And they also are seeing
this is so
all
badass.
the same videos
Look at all
that
these
we're
Native
watching,
Americans
seeing the same protests,
engaging
seeing the same
in
public
protest
sentiment,
in their
and
own
they
way.
have a lot of the same feelings about it, particularly the older,
we need to bring back scalping,
more experienced agents who are not the beneficiaries.
Gosh, I wish Finn was here.
Of this tidal wave of funding. I mean, they have more money than they know what to do with. They have tripled ICE's law enforcement budget.
Correct, Inhumane
And the reason
Society.
they're doing all of the, you described in the previous segment, the lengths to which they're going to try to staff up. The reason for that is, again, they have more money than they know what to do with, and they need to fill those roles, and they're doing everything they can to create them so that the actual personnel headcount can match the resources that they now have.
Ken, you've also read ICE's deadly force documents that you say, quote, are bureaucratically dense and elastic to the extreme, offering every possible excuse for ICE's killing of Renee Good.
Yeah.
But they're also stark in their failure to address any aspect of the dramatically new environment created by ICE's expanded mission. What do they reveal, these documents?
Okay, this should be the interesting stuff.
This was maybe the most alarming part of this entire story for me, was seeing that they have not changed the use of force policies for ICE whatsoever since Trump came into office, despite the fact that, again, they have tripled the budget for the enforcement part of it. And in addition to that, just militarize the entire thing. They're wearing masks. They're being deployed in states where the majority of the state population doesn't.
Remember, they reduced the number of days for training to 47 only.
Support them. They're being used in a far more aggressive, sweeping, and ambitious manner than ever before. So you would think that there would be some kind of reflection of that in policy, at the very least, not just.
Lucky Strikes, you should join our Discord. So should you, Inhumane Society. I would really appreciate it if you were on there. We need people like yours voices on there. I'm going to put, for those who are interested, please join our Discord. We have a fast-growing community on there, and it'll allow we talk about the things you guys are talking about, etc. I'm going to generate a link here. Oh wait, let me do this real fast, guys. Please join it. Copy that, put it on. And if you don't, it's not the end of the world, but just something I prefer. I would like for you guys to do if you don't mind. Here we go. Go ahead. Please join our Discord, folks, if you haven't already. You can also recommend things for me to react to.
To protect the public, but to protect them as well. There's nothing in its use of force documents, which you can go on my newsletter and read in full, that addresses protesters.
Also, Sir Bartholomew, I'm going to probably send you a private message on Discord. I wanted to ask you a question. Remind me if you don't mind if I forget.
Unrest, even rioters, which Trump is always talking about. You can search for those words. None of those words appear in the document. And what's more, we only know what the document says because it was accidentally uploaded by the Trump administration over the course of a federal court litigation. The entire thing was blacked out, redacted until December of last year. And that's a failure on Congress's part for not compelling ICE to release these things and make them public.
Okay, Mr. One Boston, I deeply appreciate you. Mr. One Boston says, I am hopeful about Israel, my people. The Jewish menace emerged from the depths of the pits of hell. Benjamin Netanyahu. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Mr. Boston. What exactly are you saying here? I'm having trouble interpreting it. I thought you were saying that, okay, I'm hopeful about Israel, my people, the Jewish. Forgive me, Mr. Boston. What's your point, if I may ask you? Do you not like Benjamin Netanyahu? Is that what you're saying? Oh, I know, Mr. Boston. But are you saying you like Benjamin Netanyahu? Or I'm just trying to understand your point here, because it's kind of I'm not a fan. Oh, I got you, Mr. Boston. Okay, I hate Benjamin Netanyahu, but. The quote here, I am hopeful about Israel, my Jewish people menace, the Jewish people. I just don't, it doesn't really, the quote doesn't mean much to me. You see what I mean? Like, I don't know. Okay. I'm just not sure what it means. Okay.
Especially with an administration that made very clear that this is going to be its signature policy, these mass deportations.
Last question.
Yeah, Gifted Gauze.
You've done a lot of reporting on Trump's new presidential directive, NSPM 7, National Security Presidential.
Exactly, Inhumane Society, folks. It's interesting. It looks like there's a couple Jewish people in here. I've maintained the argument that the government of Israel, the Netanyahu's government, is one of the most anti-Semitic governments around, like the most anti-Semitic group of people around today, because they're constantly trying to conflate Judaism and the Israeli government. And some of the most vocal opponents of the Israeli state's actions, right, are Jewish people. And then you get Benjamin goddamn Netanyahu screaming about this stuff. Okay, I got you, Mr. Boston. Thank you. So for the sake of Jewish people, he needs to go. All right. That whole regime needs to be, in my opinion, arrested, but okay.
Memorandum 7, a sweeping order that directs federal agencies to treat political dissent as a form of domestic terrorism, a term that Kristi Noem is throwing around right and left, accusing also the deceased, accusing Renee Good of domestic terrorism. Can you put these latest developments in perspective?
Yeah, so there's a straight through line from the shooting of Renee Good to NSPM 7, this presidential memorandum, that, as you said, redefined terrorism around a number of what are called indicators, because you have to terrorism is about pre-crime. You're trying to predict a crime before it has happened. That's what the word terrorism is for. And so how do you predict a crime? Well, you got to look at speech. And what are the speech indicators they're looking for? If you go and read the actual presidential directive, it literally says things like anti-Christian sentiment, anti-American sentiment, anti-traditional family sentiment, anti-capitalist sentiment. And it describes, one of the things it describes is anti-ICE protesters and sentiment,
totally, Jonas.
which is exactly what we saw. Moreover, the Justice Department released a sort of follow-on memo citing NSPM 7, and one of the things that it was concerned with was, quote, impeding or interfering with ICE operations, which is exactly what Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem and the Trump administration accused Renee Good of doing by having her car parked in the middle of the road. So,
Inhumane society. I studied the Holocaust. You're not wrong. And obviously, I don't mean all Israelis, but dear God, especially the settlers and the far-right Zionists like Ben Gvir, Smotrich. Oh my God, you'd be hard-pressed to differentiate between a quote made by a Nazi and a quote made by one of them. It's insane. Like, I can't. All right. It's just right.
There is a straight line from NSPM 7 to the tragedy that we saw unfold last week.
And finally, you say ICE is okay with Renee Good's killing.
Oh, I got
Why?
you, Mr. Boston. I got you. Okay.
Because its policy all but allows its ICE agents to carry these things out, and the only thing restraining them is their own perceived sense of being in danger. That is not a policy you have in place if you want them to carry out their responsibilities in a circumspect way.
Yeah, we did, Alyssa.
Because not only
I know, Jonas,
can they say whatever they feel they perceived, because we obviously can't, we don't have a window into their mind. But in addition to that, all the propaganda you've been describing earlier about them being deployed to war zones, and literally that's how they're recruiting ICE agents at that point, that creates a psychological environment in which they genuinely believe that. And that has been another aspect of reporting on this that surprised me. They don't see it as rhetoric. They think that that's actually describing the conditions on the ground. A war zone, as your previous guest described it, the war and terror come home. That is overwhelmingly believed by the younger cohort that's joining ICE now, and they need to be restrained by firmer policies than that their own perception was that they were in danger.
Ken Klippenstein, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Investigative reporter
Okay, so that was interesting, folks. Like, fascist regimes are very interesting. I've said this before, folks. Fascist regimes are always a combination of authoritarianism and incompetence. And then I could add one more to that, okay? Authoritarianism, incompetence, and internal conflict. Why? Well, loyalty is more important in a fascist regime than competence, right? So people who get put in places of power, the reason they're there is because they're loyal to the leader or leaders, not because they're competent. Second of all, in Nazi Germany, all right, Hitler purposely made different parts of the government overlap in their authority. So, for example, you might have the Secretdienst, I can't remember exactly what it's called, which is basically the German regular police, and then you had like the SS or the SS, and they made a lot of their authority overlap so that these two departments would constantly be fighting with each other over who had the authority to do different things. And Hitler's theory here was that remember, Hitler loved what he viewed as natural conflict because he thought it made the strong rise to the top. So he purposely created some level of chaos within the regime so that he thought that the best would rise to the top, okay? Mussolini was similar, and when we read the definition of fascism from Umberto Eco, there's a lot of that in Trumpism too. This sort of idea of life is lived for the struggle. The strongest are the ones who need to triumph. And so, to an extent, interagency conflict is sort of a way of reflecting that, is a way of sort of showing who's the most dominant in the government and then therefore gets the most favor from the leader. And what Ken Klippenstein just talked about was all three of those things: the authoritarianism, the incompetence, and the interagency conflict, okay? I just thought that was very interesting, okay? So, oh, I'm sorry, Louise. Bye-bye, Louise. Okay. So guys, some other stuff here I wanted to show you all. So that's the first thing. I just wanted to talk about those events that were happening. Now I wanted to talk about Iran, Cenk, and American military movements. So, yeah, I know, right, JDH? So one thing here is that, oh, good God, a mad scene. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Trumpism is like our biggest export at this time, at this point, a mad scene. So here's the other thing I want to talk about, Iran, folks. First of all, yesterday, Iran shut down its airspace because they appeared to be concerned that the United States and maybe Israel, it appears though to be the United States, was about to do an airstrike. They ended up lifting that order. And Trump said that the Iranian regime had agreed to stop killing protesters. I don't buy that for a second, by the way. What is it now? Like over 3,000 people have been killed by the Iranian regime. Now, this is where I'm conflicted, folks. As I said previously, all for the people of Iran liberating themselves, okay? I deeply believe in the liberty of people, okay? If they seek to liberate themselves, please, I'm all for that. I want people to be free, okay? Germany lost World War I, World War II after we rebuilt their country just 75 years ago. They are the fourth largest economy in the world. What's going on? Population and other things like that in humane society. Is that what you mean? Okay. So okay, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. So, yes, so Iran, okay? That is a big problem, okay? As in, it's not a big problem. It's a good thing. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. It is so if they are liberating themselves, I'm happy about that. There's a problem though, folks. There is a problem, okay? That problem is that it appears that there is a lot of influence here from the United States and Israel, from reports I've read, and the person that seems to be the most likely to be put into power if the revolution succeeds would be Pahlavi, who is exactly gifted, Gaz, is Pahlavi, who is the son of the Shah. And I saw a clip yesterday, and this makes me, by the way, think even more that this is partially being orchestrated by Israel and the United States, okay? Because the Shah was generally fairly friendly to Israel and the United States, okay? Yeah, in humane society. Okay, so let me show you here what this happened yesterday, and to me, this is deeply reflective of the problem we have that might occur because of these people who were because of the Shah and things like that. Okay, so this is this woman in the center. Now, I know, not many of us like Cenk Uygur. I get it. Though Cenk Uygur is fairly intelligent and does say, occasionally makes very good points. Yesterday, Cenk Uygur was on Piers Morgan, and he got into sort of a yelling match with this woman in the middle. I'm not sure what her name is, but she is basically a loyalist to the Shah, okay? And she is one of the ones calling for, the Shah to be returned to power in Iran. And I want you to hear, this is what worries me. Cenk is saying it like it is. He says, I want the Iranian people to be free. At the same time, I'm concerned about American and Israeli influence. If the Iranian people are to be free, I want them to be free. I don't want a foreign influence in this government. Okay? So he is standing up for the Iranian people and saying, I do want them to be free, but they need to make their own decisions. Okay? And the foreign government shouldn't be getting involved, and I'm concerned. Listen to how she responds to it. Okay? Listen.
Let me bring you in here. You were born in Iran.
So first he's going to ask, first he's going to ask her, the woman in the middle, a question, all right?
Do you feel this is different to previous...
So she was born in Iran, but she doesn't live there.
...risings?
Yes, absolutely. This is different. This time around, the stars have aligned, Pierce. So this isn't the first time that we have tried to overthrow the Islamic dictatorship. We've been trying for the last 47 years, in fact.
Agreed in humane society.
But this time, We have a leader. We have His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi, who has he's heeded the call of the Iranian people. He is going to be stepping in as a transitional leader. He's going to be taking our country from a brutal Islamic dictatorship into a functioning secular democracy. Now, what type of democracy that's going to be, that's going to be based on a national referendum that the Iranian people will vote for. So whether they want a constitutional monarchy or whether they want a republic, we Iranians are going to determine that. And that plan is actually available online. It's on a website called Iran Prosperity Project. It's been online for over...
I'm sorry, that you're right, Mithril. The grandson, not the son. Excuse me. You're right, Mithril.
6 months. I can't think of any other revolution, in fact, where the transitional plan for the emergency government has already been published and peer-reviewed and is also available in English online. There are also a number of other factors here.
Another thing, first of all, folks, as soon as you hear someone saying, His Royal Highness shall be returning, and he's decided to heed the call of his people, run for the hills. Okay, run for the hills. What is this? Are we in the Middle Ages? Like, the Iranian people are a modern state, okay? Like, why are you using this language like we're back? All right.
Yeah, inhumane. Providing Starlink and Starlink devices, that is huge because that has allowed us to continue receiving messages from people in occupied Iran despite the mass slaughter. The other really important factor as well is that President Trump is now giving his support to the Iranian people. And we're not asking for boots on the ground, nothing like that. But when you look at President Ronald Reagan's support for the oppressed people.
Yeah, also, if you're talking about Ronald Reagan, not exactly a positive. See, already some red flags here.
Is what led to the fall of the Berlin Wall, and there were no boots on the ground there.
Not true.
The propaganda that Cenk is putting out there, it's the other side of the coin.
Bomb the Soviet Union.
Can you please don't interrupt me? I did not interrupt.
Cenk is right. Yeah, we didn't bomb the Soviet Union.
You when you were spouting your garbage. So as I was saying, the propaganda that Cenk is putting out there, that's the other side of the coin of the Islamic dictatorship. So there, it's meant to put fear into Americans by saying, oh, well, let's go bomb Iran. Well, no one's going to go bomb Iran. Israel and the United States, back in the 12-day war, they targeted Islamic regime bases. They never targeted civilians.
Right, Jonas? Okay. There was an Islamic revolution against the Shah for a reason, folks. I do not support that Islamic regime, but it wasn't like people were happy under the Shah.
In the 12-day war, yes, there were civilian casualties. 200 Iranian civilians lost their lives in the 12-day war. But in the past 2 days alone, the Islamic dictatorship has slaughtered over 12,000 Iranians. And that's at a minimum right now for what we know. So what Iranians are saying is that they will fight until the very end because they know that at this point it's either liberty or death. And so they are still going out, they are still fighting. And the one person that has mobilized us Iranians around the world to rise up and overthrow the Islamic dictatorship is His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi. So, people like Cenk can complain and bark all they want, but ultimately their opinion is irrelevant. We Iranians, we've already decided what we want. And
I like how she's speaking for all the Iranian people.
Self-determination is our right.
Okay, I've got to leave it there for the
panel. I agree. Self-determination is your right. So maybe Israel and the United States should back the fuck up. All right.
What are you talking about? No. Can I just say she keeps pretending to speak for the Persian people. There's been no vote. She doesn't represent any of them. So some do like the Shah. I don't dispute that. I think that they're very, very mistaken in that. There's some earnest people who believe that. And then there's people who work for Israel who say, yeah, he's a perfect puppet for Israel and he should be. And then Chuck says, oh, well, the UAE also wants him gone and Turkey wants Iran gone. Why do I care about those countries? I don't care about those countries. I care about us. Can I ask Rob one last question? Rob, you're military. You were Navy SEAL Team 6.
No one even in Iran knows who you are.
How many military military. Hold on. Let me ask Rob a question. Hey, is Israeli puppet? Hold on a second. Okay? Can I ask Rob?
Now, from what I've heard, she's speaking Farsi, and apparently she's threatening him. Okay, I haven't verified this, but what I heard someone else say was that, oh yeah, she's threatening him in Farsi. So she's not saying it in English, but she's threatening him.
All right, don't talk over each other.
Yeah, Israeli puppet.
Don't talk over each other, please.
Okay, hey, Rob.
Oh, and did you hear that, guys? Did you hear what she said there at the end? She said, don't worry, after we take over, we'll come after all of you. Sounds like it'll be a lovely, benevolent regime. Okay? Sounds like that. You see what I mean? Like, sounds like a benevolent regime that they want to install there in Iran. We'll come after you. After we win, we'll come after you, Cenk. Okay?
When you do enough military exercise, look, it was what we did in Iran was tactically amazing. What we did in Venezuela was tactically amazing. That isn't strategy, that's tactics. But if you take enough risks, Rob, at some point, aren't you going to lose someone?
Goldie, let him finish, please.
A plane is going to get knocked down. You're going to lose some members of a Delta force, etc. And at that point, people are going to get mad, and then they're going to want bigger war and bigger retaliation, and we're going to get sucked in. Maybe I don't understand it, Rob. Rob, has the U.S. military become perfect and we can never lose anyone? There's no risk? Or are we taking significant risk here?
Yeah, Cenk, I like what you're saying as far as we're thinking outside of the box, because what happened in Venezuela was not an anomaly.
Okay, so I just thought that clip was very interesting. How, like, this woman starts threatening him in Farsi and then says, we'll come after you next, Cenk. Great. Yeah, great. That's great. I'm sure the Shah will be a lovely person who won't return to an authoritarian, autocratic rule. I love that. And, so that's good. Sure, they won't bring back the literal torture chambers. Has anyone ever read? Give me a second. I'm going to grab something. Okay, now this book has some issues, all right? It does. Okay. This book has some issues. Has anyone ever read this, Persepolis? It's a graphic novel about a young girl's childhood in Iran during the Shah and then during the Islamic Revolution. It has some issues. It's kind of biased. It's the perspective of one girl who felt particularly oppressed, but I do think you did, Meowzord. Okay, it's beautiful. It's beautiful as art. There are some sort of let's put it this way. It has some anti-Iranian bias kind of stuff in it. She's being honest, but the framing, regardless, the part here about the Shah, when they're underneath the Shah did things like torture her uncle in horrific ways and slaughter tons of other people. Okay? I'm trying to find a page here to show all of you. So it's not like returning to a Shah-like situation will be great. That was what sparked the Iranian Revolution to begin with. And again, I want them to decide for themselves. If the Iranian people want the Shah, okay. But I do hope that he represents their interests and not the interest of Israel and America. Okay? I can't find the picture here, but yeah, she talks about how her uncle, here we go. Her uncle was, can I put the name of it in chat? Sure, it's called Persepolis. Persepolis. No, I know, Raccoon Boyo. Cenk is not the best. Okay, I'll put it up. You guys, it's a really quick read. There's two of them. Thank you. Persepolis. All right, there's also a movie version. That's an animated movie. But there's a scene where she finds out how her uncle was tortured. And as a child, like, here it is. Oof. I'll show you the image real fast, okay? You see that? That's her uncle. His back is being flogged. And then the torturer urinated on the scars on his back. They also put a hot iron on his back. Okay? Like, the Shah's not great. The Shah's not great. Okay. Anyway, so that's just my point. And when I heard her say that, I'm like, oh, she really does want the Shah back. Okay. So my point here overall, folks, is the Iranian people need to decide. Okay. Yeah, right, TJ, is that the Iranian people need to decide for themselves what they want. Okay. And if they do want a constitutional monarchy, that's up to them. But I don't want this guy to be installed just because Israel and the United States want him. There you go, Gifted Gauze. The Savak were they even mentioned that in the book. I'm sorry, Mithril. My apologies. The Savak was the name of the secret police in Iran under the Shah. They kidnapped dissident religious clerics and murdered hundreds of thousands of Iranians. Yeah. Really horrible. Okay, disgusting. Yeah, Matt Saigai. I would prefer they have a democracy, obviously, a direct like a complete democracy. Now, I'm not like American rah, rah, rah. We need to install it. Like there needs to be a democracy installed. I think that'd be best for them. But yeah, Matt Saiga, like if they want, like, my point is they can decide what they want. All right. I don't trust this guy, Pahlavi. All right. That's my thing. The grandson of the Shah. All right. Okay. So that's happening in Iran. Something to keep an eye out on. Something else here. Greenland. Yeah, Raccoon Boyo. Exactly, Raccoon Boyo. Greenland here. Now, this yesterday, where is it? NATO troops have arrived in Greenland. Okay. So Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and someone else sent troops to Greenland in an effort to prevent the United States. Exactly, Gifted Gauze. And that's my whole thought, right? Like, I don't care if the Iranian people want the Shah. Hey, they can make that decision. I just really don't want anyone to influence that decision, right? Okay. So can we please let them make the decision for themselves? And okay. All right. So what do you think will happen to U.S. military bases in Europe if things continue to escalate? Well, they'll probably be removed or forcibly removed, but okay. So, yeah. But I don't know. I really don't know. Okay. So guys, so troops are now arriving in Greenland. Okay. And which to me is good or bad. It could be either one, because if it prevents the United States from attacking Greenland, that's good news. So I guess let's see here. France, Germany, the UK, Norway, Sweden, Netherlands started sending symbolic numbers of troops. So there are now troops in Greenland from those countries, which will make it less likely that the United States attacks. So that is one possible outcome of this. It could also be escalatory because we have a batshit crazy loose cannon leader who might still decide to engage in aggression. Exactly, in humane society. Okay, like all right. So yeah, if there are batshit crazy leader. Yeah, Gifted Gauze, and that's what worries me, and that's why I would much rather that not happen, okay? So, you see what I mean? We need some shit to defend. Like, this could go very badly, because this could mean war or basically the breaking off of relationships between Europe and the United States. Yeah, I know, the EU, well, it was NATO, was it the EU? I thought it was NATO, okay? Yes, he wants it to look huge on the map, okay? So, I know, Sir Bartholomew. So, sweet Jesus, what the hell, don't you love these two options? Either this stops our aggression against Greenland, or this causes a massive war. Okay, yeah, I thought so, Mad Scene. Okay, I thought it was NATO. Every time Europe needs money, they manufacture a fake world war. Yeah, oh, I know, okay. Yeah. Yep, but UK, of course they are, because they're spineless. Oh my God, I don't mean the UK is spineless. Labour is spineless. The Tories are spineless. The Liberals are spineless. The Greens, maybe not, but they're all spineless. I'm just so annoyed with like Keir Starmer. Like, come on, dude. Like, do something. I know it's similar to the problem here, where they're all so spineless. And I know that it's the same with our politicians here. But like, Jesus Christ, stand up for your people. Stand up for Europe. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Matt Guy. So, all right. Yeah, no, I have a treat for you. That's possible. I did, and I that is very possible. I have a treat for you. I mentioned this yesterday. I do have one slight theory here that I do not know the probability of, but it's something else that might happen. Our military still might refuse to do an attack like that, okay? Because attacking NATO is illegal and it would be unlawful. Now, do I think necessarily that would happen? No. Do I think it's likely? No, but it's possible. Because there are still a lot of dissent within the military. Now, Trump has been replacing top generals with loyalists and stuff, but a lot of the guys in the military, the generals in the military and things like that, have trained with NATO forces, have spent tons of time in Europe, have led groups of NATO troops in training and things like that. So there might be some pushback from the military. Again, I am not saying that that is likely, but it is possible. Okay? It's just something to think about. Sir Bartholomew, remember when the UK fought the fascists? How the mighty have fallen. Oh, I know, Sir Bartholomew. And we already have a base in Greenland. Yes, we already have bases in Greenland. Okay? Unfortunately, in your groove, that failed to pass. At least the military authorization got shut down, unless that's a different one. Okay? How long do you think U.S. military bases will last if Trump attacks CR? Mythville, I got to tell you, I don't know. Because a lot of European leaders have shown themselves to be relatively spineless. I'm sorry to say. And so I don't know if, to many European leaders, they might view it as, oh, that's just Greenland. That's not mainland Europe. That's far away, very few people. Maybe we don't want to risk a conflict with the U.S. and we have to worry about Russia. So, we'll voice some anger, but we still want those military bases here. That could happen. So it might not be that we might not have our military bases removed. I think that European nations should do that, but I think they're afraid. So we'll have to see. Okay. Okay. How long do you think Iran will last if they destroy our bases? They, first of all, I don't think they really have the capability to destroy our bases. They have bombed our bases before and just had a response done. But yeah, you could put 100 bases there. Denmark would welcome it. It isn't about security. Yeah, there you go. If he attacks NATO, we'll cease to exist, and therefore I think this is less benefit. They won't help us. Oh, guys, I know. I don't think we should have military bases there. I'm just telling you that Europeans are kind of in a tough spot right now because from their thinking, they have to deal with Putin, and they want the protection of American military power. At the same time, America's being a violent imperialist thug. So the decision comes down to, you see what I mean? It's a hard decision for Europeans. If I were them, I would kick out American military bases, but their calculation might be different, and they've been pretty weak so far in showing resistance. Like, I don't think they would want to dismantle NATO over this. I just don't. I don't think they have the balls to do that, okay? I feel like they're way too scared of Russia, and they're way too dependent on the United States at this point. So, but it could go the other way. Yeah, but again, I don't know, guys. I'm just telling you, it is not cut and dry how the response will occur, all right? Exactly, Inhumane Society. So, okay. Anyway, so just something to think about. I don't know if our military bases will be removed or shut down or anything like that. They might be, they might not be. I am also not privy to the private conversations happening of between European leaders. If a smart person was president, it would make sense to make it a shared U.S.-EU multinational territory. Oh, that's actually a good idea, Meowsword. Yeah, you could do that. Like Kosovo was turned into a multinational territory. You could make something a UN mandate territory, which is controlled by international forces. Absolutely. We did something like that in Berlin after World War II. That was a bit different. But yeah, okay. Okay. Mithra, what do you mean? Forgive me. What do you mean a bit of American exceptionalism there? How am I saying America's exceptional? I'm saying that European leaders, regardless of whether America is powerful or not, still like the United States a lot, okay? Are scared of Russia. I am not a fan of the United States power. What do you mean? Okay, would you explain what you mean, Mithril? Because I do not believe in American exceptionalism. Well, Mithril, yeah, I do think that. I think a lot of European leaders are spineless, and they still have this idyllic look at American military power when they shouldn't. All right? Okay? I do think that. Does that mean I think America is exceptional? No. But I think a lot of European leaders still are in that mindset. They've been in that mindset for dozens of years, since the late 1940s. It's really hard to suddenly change that mindset. But again, though, Mithril, I don't know if that'll happen. I'm just saying it is possible that the troops won't be removed or anything. Okay? All right. So, but in humane society, that's also not fully true. So, Europe okay. You all know, okay, I can talk about military aspects of this. Europe has been strengthening its military forces. It has been. It would likely be able to hold its own pretty well, but okay, but it's not, yeah, exactly, guys. Like Europe, but I'm saying though, that yeah, Europe could eventually maybe perceive itself as being able to hold itself on its own, but I don't know if European leaders' mindset has changed yet. That's why I'm not sure how it'll happen. Okay. Germany is always preparing to pick up the slack in NATO. They've increased. Exactly. I have a treat for you. They have. But that's why, again, I'm saying I don't know. I don't know. A mad scene. Okay, guys. All right. Mithril, you hurt my feelings by saying I'm promoting American exceptionalism. I hope you know I'm not. I'm not saying America's exceptional. I'm talking about international perspectives of America's force and how European leaders view America and how they calculate American power into their own geopolitical goals, okay? A mad scene says Greenland needs special Arctic equipment and Europe has more of that than Trump. A mad scene. What navy does Europe have to stop the American Navy? Because it's one thing that Europe has a bunch of Arctic equipment. It's another thing that to be able to transport it across the ocean to Greenland when the American Navy is sitting there. You see what I mean? So that argument, and God, I feel like I'm defending the United States. I'm not saying I want any of this. I'm just saying if we look at the military force of the United States and the consideration of Europeans, I don't know if I trust them to satisfactorily resist American power. And now I don't know, but I don't think we should say that we think Europe is going to respond strongly to this. Okay. Yeah, we just don't know. How dare you, Dolly boy? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have a treat for you. I'm not trying to be prideful. I'm just saying we still have the most powerful Navy in the world. Yeah, like I don't know how. All right. So you guys see what I mean? All right. All right, you guys. So all right, you guys. So that's just something to think about. This is kind of good news. I like the idea that the okay. But I have I have a mad scene. I understand that. I could debate that with you. It's kind of irrelevant for me to debate it with you, Madsine. That's a fair perspective to have. I don't. Yeah. Okay. Dolly boy, you know, I hate you, Dolly boy. You know, I hate you so much. Okay. Good God. Okay. Dear God. Okay. Anyway, Dolly Boy's messing with me. I hope you all know. Okay. For all the Europeans out there, please, I'm not like rah 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 America. I'm just saying, granted, the U.S. is making sure they don't get nuked like Japan was. Yeah, no, exactly, Raccoon Boy. That's another thing. The U.S. has nuclear weapons. Okay. I know, Dolly Boy. I deserve it. I deserve it. Okay. Drusilla, what do you think about all this? Welcome, Drusilla. Welcome, Drusilla. No, you're right. I have a treat for you. But that's another consideration because mutually assured destruction is still not a selling point. Thank you, Amadsine. I'm not. You guys, you should watch. You should watch all my other streams. I cannot stand American empire. I want it to collapse. I do not want there to be American military power abroad. I am not a supporter of American empire. I'm just stating the fact that Europe has essentially has a mindset of American protection of them. Okay. And those leaders have been spineless before. Yes, I know, Inhumane Society, there are nuclear weapons in Europe, but doesn't that make it less likely that either side will try to escalate it with each other? Yeah, Dolly Boy, forgive me. I'm not trying to. Okay. All right, you guys. No, Drusilla, we were talking about Drusilla. I was saying Drusilla here's from Norway. We were talking about Greenland, Drusilla. And I'm basically saying I don't know if the European leaders will remove American military bases if America attacks Greenland, because a lot of them seem relatively spineless. Okay. They just do. And they've seemed spineless, and they seem to have this perception. They still seem to believe that they're dependent on the United States, and they might not want to risk NATO cohesion by turning on the United States, okay? I'm just saying I don't know, but you know what I mean? Okay. So anyway, just something to think about. Yeah, exactly. I have a mad scene, all right? Okay. Okay, let me put this up here. Excellent, Drusilla. Let me put my face back up here just for a second. Yeah, exactly, Meowzord. I get you, right? Like, I think Europe needs to break up with the United States. I'm sorry to say. I think at this point, at least right now, Europe needs to assert itself. Do I think that a lot of European countries will? No, because they're cucks. I'm sorry to say, I am very disappointed with how European leaders have been responding. Generally, now they have sent some troops to Greenland, which I guess is semi-autonomous, controlled by Denmark. But anyway, but I don't know with what's going on with Russia. There's other considerations. Yeah, it's just not an easy such scenario for them. There you go, Dolly Boy. Like, you remember how how Keir Starmer reacted to Maduro? All right, like, okay. So Europeans out there, please push your politicians to have a breakup with the United States, okay? Because you do know we also partially are imperial, we kind of limit your autonomy in some ways, if you didn't know, okay? Let's put it that way. Yeah, yep, Europe, yep, Meowzord, exactly. All right. Inhumane Society. Now, that's not true, Inhumane Society. What do you mean the British were responsible for Pearl Harbor? That's not true historically. That's not. Okay. I can't find American Army. I'm mad scene. I hope you know. I don't mean that you're a cuck. I mean the leaders over there are cucks. And okay, at least your leaders aren't fully fascist like ours are. So I'm picking up on what you're putting down here. We've been threatened with annexation multiple times. Your government just says we got to work this out peacefully, guys, and be chill. Exactly, Sir Bartholomew. I know it sounds like I'm like, oh, the United States is big and powerful. No, I'm saying that the European governments and Canadian government are spineless right now, and they shouldn't be. Okay, I would love for these countries to stand up to our authoritarian regime. It would be beneficial for the American public too, because it would put pressure on our regime. I know, right, Dolly Boy? Druzilla, so Druzilla, that is a really good idea, right? I think, yes, strategically, Druzilla, if Europeans wanted to, they could take all those bases in Europe hostage. And now that being said, Druzilla, will that happen? Would that happen? I don't think it would, because a lot of European leaders don't appear to have the balls to do that. And exactly, Druzilla, you should. I think that Europeans should do that. I'm basically, by the way, I'm going to get a whole bunch of comments, I'm sure, after this on this video saying I'm a traitor to the United States and shit for saying this stuff. Okay. But like, yeah, Europe should resist the United States. Okay. And I'm also partially saying that selfishly because that'd be good for Americans. Okay. I know, Raccoon Boyo. Anyway. So, but we'll see, guys. I don't know for sure. All right. It's just something I was thinking about. I don't know if Europe yet has, the European governments have that ballsiness yet. I wish they would. Okay. So, well, enough of that. So that is another horrifying thing happening on the brink of war, etc. Okay. Stanley Knotts, that's a good reason why USA should own Greenland, because USA are the ones who defend it. Stanley Knotts, first of all, no. Welcome back, Stanley Knotts. I appreciate your opinion. At least you present it in a reasonable way. But no. Okay. First of all, if I cared about us protecting Greenland, I would say that we already have military bases there, so we don't need to directly own it. Second of all, why should the United States need to occupy another country? That's none of our business. That is violating international law. That's violating sovereignty. It's just monstrous. It's just monstrous. I don't know why. It's a very colonial and imperialist mindset to think that the United States should be the dominate everyone and like protect Greenland. By the way, we're not doing this to protect Greenland. We're not doing this to protect Greenland. We're doing it for resources. Okay? Like, do you think that if we had for some reason to defend Greenland, we couldn't defend it? We can defend it. First of all, I don't know who would attack it. It's right near the United States. What, you think Russia's going to launch a fleet and invade Greenland? Like, no. You think China's going to do that? Are you crazy? Think Iran, who doesn't have a navy, basically? Like, it's not... okay. It's about power, imperialism, and resources. It has nothing to do with protecting Greenland. Yeah, Druzilla, all right? I think the people of Greenland... I know, folks, I know. It's shocking when I say things that... when I say things like this, but I think all human beings on the planet deserve to be sovereign and free and not be occupied or controlled by a big foreign power. Okay? That's what I think. All right? Okay? All right. It's like the, let's see here, Henry G. Is it the same as the UK and the Falkland Islands? In reference to Greenland? No, I'm not sure what you mean. So I kind of see what you're saying here. The Falkland Islands were owned by the British Empire, and Argentina then attempted to seize the Falkland Islands. I mean, the Falkland Islands. I'm trying to get the comparison you're making. Would you clarify, please? Just what comparison are you making here? Okay. Argentina, in regards to what? All right. China owns land everywhere. Yeah, they do. But they wouldn't be able to. They don't have the capacity to take Greenland. Are you kidding me? They don't. Oh, it's going to be treated like Puerto Rico. Yeah, and you know, Puerto Rico was acquired during a war of aggression called the Spanish-American War, which was an imperialist war of conquest. And I think we're out of the 19th century at this point, and I don't think we should be doing imperialist wars of conquest. Okay, I guess because the U.S. is trying to claim Greenland as theirs when they never did, and they never had it, like Argentina. Oh, that makes sense, Dolly Boy. Yeah, I'm trying to get who the comparison. That is true. Okay, that is very true. And the Falkland Islands, by the way, didn't actually have many people living on them. It was mainly had sheep. Okay, it was mainly sheep on those islands, and I'm not not trying to downplay it, but yeah, that was an act of aggression by Argentina. This is complicated. We can debate this, but that was essentially an act of aggression by Argentina to attack there. They sunk the Maine. Yeah, it may be sea libs, but that was sort of the excuse used to take a bunch of territories from Spain. Hello, Virtual Violence. We're debating imperialism against Greenland and things like that. I know, guys, I'm kind of stun-locked here, but there's some great comments happening, and I think we're all enjoying this conversation about Greenland. Another thing, folks, for the folks in here that are defending the annexation of Greenland, can I just point out something? And that thing is, you know, what happens if your country starts attacking a bunch of other countries? Do you think the rest of the countries of the world take that lying down, or do they start forming coalitions and defensive alliances and start worrying about being attacked and then start isolating you diplomatically as a country? And for those of you who are like real go get American patriotism, blah, 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 is it also, how do you think that will help China? Don't you think that'll push a bunch of other countries into China's arms? So, okay, you see what I mean? Like, I don't care about that approach. I'm just saying it also is it's strategically foolish in the long term. Yeah, they're all going to run to Russia and China. All right. So, okay. So if you don't like China, which, you know, there you go in your groove, and it'll just accelerate the collapse of the American empire, which, hey, I'm all for. I am all for accelerating the collapse of the American empire. Bye-bye. I don't care. Bye. But I'm just saying, for all you nationalist imperialists out there, I would rather not a lot of people die in an act of aggression and cause all these international problems. I'd rather let it die quietly. I'd rather let the empire die quietly, okay? So, all right. Okay. Inhumane society. When I mean empire, I don't mean ruled by an emperor, although it should be noted that the president basically has imperial levels of authorities at this point. I am using the definition of empire. That basically means, okay, that basically means that you have a metropole, so a centralized location, and then you have a periphery, and that periphery of control, the resources and power, goes into the metropole. So America definitely has a global empire economically, has military bases all over the planet, and power and resources flow towards the United States because that's the metropole. It is an empire in that way. Okay? The U.S. is a democratic republic of statehoods. Yeah, but I'm using the word empire, guys, in an academic way. I'm not saying that there is like that we have an emperor, although I think you could argue we're basically there. All right. Henry G., how did Denmark get control of Greenland? Does Iceland need to stay awake? Henry G., I really have no idea what you're saying. Okay, I really have no idea what you're saying. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay. The other countries need more aircraft carriers if they want the smoke. So, C-Libs, oh, I got you, I Bright Love, okay. Raccoon Boyo, yeah, there you go, Raccoon Boyo. And I was actually going to talk to you guys about what an empire is. That was literally one of the things on my list. So, for those who are like other countries need more aircraft carriers if they want that smoke. So C-Libs is a fascist. Now, C-Libs, I am not saying that as an ad hominem, okay? I'm saying that as a fact. fascists believe that might makes right. You think by saying that you think that other countries need more aircraft carriers if they want smoke, you're basically saying, well, the most powerful country should dominate everyone. You're basically, I would bet you're a fan of Darth Vader, aren't you? Are you a fan of Darth Vader? Tell me if I'm wrong. Or are you a fan of Sauron and Saruman from Lord of the Rings? Stanley, but it's not nearly as powerful. It is not nearly as powerful as the American Navy. I am not saying China doesn't have a powerful military, but America has still has dominant sea power. If you look at what kind of vessels they have and things like that. Okay, so if you guys think that the country with the most power should just dominate everyone, I don't know what to tell you. You're kind of a fascist, or at very least an imperialist. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. All right. I mean, if you're okay with that, then hey, all right, but you're a monster, okay? And you probably would have sided with the British Empire during the American Revolution. Just saying, you probably would have been loyalists if you're an American. Okay, so, yeah, Stanley. Okay, Stanley, I really appreciate you, Stanley. You're actually making some good arguments, as in you're actually engaging in a conversation with me. All right, agreed. But they don't want they don't want the world to be unipolar. Yeah, Stanley, and I honestly don't think it is unipolar anymore. I think we've left the unipolar moment. And I think that's one of the reasons why the United States is lashing out. There's never been an empire in history that has not lost its status as the superpower, okay? I think we're starting to enter that phase of being in a multipolar world. And I think historically, when empires start sort of losing influence and power, they lash out violently. And I think that's what we're seeing here with Trump. I think that the American empire is lashing out, trying to seize things as they see their control slipping away. Because Russia and China were getting involved in Venezuela. The Arctic is okay, that's fair, Stanley. Had a great conversation there, Stanley. Really, thank you love to have you in the Discord, Stanley. Okay. All right. No, Inhumane Society. Students, Inhumane Society, you don't know that about me. You think I'm enjoying a comfortable life right now? Do you have any idea how much money I'm making? Because it's not much. And no, I am not enjoying a comfortable life right now, and I am working. I'm working every day. I'm doing these streams. That is not a good example. And Inhumane Society, what about all the people in the United States that are barely surviving and are going bankrupt because of medical bills and their wages are not keeping up with their labor? So is the American empire benefiting them? If you think it's benefiting me, do you think it's benefiting all working class Americans? It's not. It is not Inhumane Society. Okay? It is not benefiting that, okay? And it doesn't mean America won't be powerful anymore. It just means we'll be in a multipolar world where there'll be multiple powers. And I suspect that that'll actually be better for the world. I really do. Okay, there's this myth out there that having a unipolar world with one superpower keeps people in line and keeps peace. It's the opposite. All the stats show that when there's a unipolar world, there's tons of more violence. Now, this is complicated because you have to consider nuclear weapons, etc. But the United States keeps overthrowing regimes, has started multiple wars throughout its existence. If you're in a multipolar world, it becomes less likely. Okay? Thank you, Stanley, thank you for complimenting my hat. All right. You guys get it? Okay, exactly, Pauladine. All right. Sir Bartholomew, I'll open that up. I'll see what it is. Yes,
there are two major miscalculations.
Inhumane Society, I don't fully disagree with you. Inhumane Society says before we lose power, all hell will break loose. There are two ways this could go, Inhumane Society. We could either slowly withdraw our imperial arms of control and do it in a responsible way, what is destined to happen anyway, or we could lash out violently, cause our empire to collapse faster, and then, yes, there would be more international chaos. I don't know about you, but what the Trump administration is doing is just going to cause far more chaos. All right. So I do partially agree with you, kind of, but there are responsible ways to have imperial downfall. Let's put it that way. Okay. Let's see here. C-libs. Might doesn't make right. Might makes just makes. Yeah, you sound like Hitler. I mean, I'm sorry, C-lib. I studied the Nazis literally in grad school. That's something Hitler would say. It's not for right or wrong. Fascist is a term that has no... I literally studied what it means, my friend. I'm sorry, you're wrong. This bastardization of it is killing political... So, real fast here, C-libs, what your response is not a response. You did not respond to my point here. All you said was, well, I think that might is just what controls things. So, okay. Yeah, but I was making a moral point, was I not? So are you okay with that? You think that the most powerful country should just dominate and control everyone and kill thousands of people and dominate the globe because they're stronger? Because that's what you were defending. You were saying other nations need aircraft carriers to fight the United States if they want to stop the United States. That is implying, well, we can do whatever they want. They don't have aircraft carriers. So I believe you're being a bit disingenuous with your argument. And I do recommend you read Hitler's book, not because I like Hitler, but because that's the things he said. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're a Nazi or a fascist, but those are arguments derived from fascists and Nazis. Okay. Okay. If I can't have it, no one can have it. Okay. Fascist is a term that still has meaning, except for the fact exactly. Inhumane Society, where you think the Nazis move after World War II? A lot of places. Some of them still were in Europe. What do you mean, Inhumane Society? Some went to Latin America. Some stayed in Europe. There were a few who escaped to the United States. Some were taken by the Soviets back to the Soviet Union to be used as scientists. Some were taken to America to be used as scientists in a very immoral way. I'm not sure what your point is. Okay. Anyway. You see what I mean? Like, okay. Do you think the USA can just take the place of Denmark subsidizing Greenland? Yeah, probably. I mean, not morally. I'm saying, like, functionally, the United States probably could do that. But I don't think we should. I don't think we should. Well, I've already outlined all those reasons. I've already outlined all those reasons. Yeah, there you go, Bulladine. All right. Meowzord, yes. So Meowzord says, does that apply only to governments, or is it cool if I just roll up to your house and steal your shit? Well, Meowzord, yeah, of course. If the government has more power, they can do whatever they want to you, according to Clibs. So yeah, I mean, I know you're asking Clibs that question, but I decided to answer it because that's Clibs' argument. Yeah, if the government has more guns, which they do, they should be able to attack any of us whenever, because that's how power works, right? Just to use the same argument, our rocket system, nuclear weapons came from Germany. We moved them here. Our rocket system. Yeah, you're right. I'm in Humane Society. The Nazis, Werner von Braun and stuff, was the scientist that founded NASA, who had been a Nazi war criminal who was brought to the United States. Okay. All right, you guys. I know I'm kind of ranting now. Let's watch this. This is sent from Sir Bartholomew. Okay, this was sent from Sir Bartholomew. Okay. Yeah, TJ, here we go. So this is, let's watch this. There are two major miscalculations happening right now in the United States, okay? You like this? Okay. So let's listen to this guy. I don't know what this is. Okay, thank you guys. We'll watch this. Though, TJ, I think it was a good stun lock. I think we all learned a lot during that stun lock. Okay. Virtual violence. For those, virtual violence does say, okay. So for, virtual violence, the government will always be stronger than you. Okay. So that means, according to your logic, they should be able to do whatever they want to. Virtual violence. I think you should be a little more clear with what you mean when you use the word fascists. So I will say, guys, virtual violence, I get that. I talk about fascism all the time on this stream. Okay. So I may not be very clear with the new people that come in here, but I have literally done multiple streams on the definition of fascism. Would someone please Would someone please let me know? Would all the irregulars basically verify that in comments? Okay. So, yeah, maybe I'm not being clear right now, but it's not a clear answer. I got to tell you, it would take a long time for me to explain it. Okay. All right. That's fair, Meowzord. Okay. All right. Here we go. So here we have this. This is from Sir Bartholomew.
Happening right now in the.
Oh, let me make sure it's actually. Oh, I need to actually hear what he's saying. Verify that I've talked about what fascism is multiple times, Drusilla. That's what I was referring to.
United States, and they've got huge consequences. Professor Poutine here, time for Mysteries Histories. The first is obviously Donald Trump's assertion that he can take Greenland because he needs it for national security. And he's obviously being advised by all the wrong people who are telling him, yeah, just go ahead and do it. What's anybody going to do? They can't stop us. This reminds me a lot of Hitler in 1939 being advised by Joachim von Ribbentrop, his foreign minister, that if the British and the French didn't do anything in 1935 when they invaded the Ruhr in violation of the Treaty of Versailles, and they didn't do anything in 1938 when he took the Sudetenland, or in 1938 when they annexed Austria, or in 1939 when they took the rest of Czechoslovakia, they're not going to go to war over a little strip of land in Poland. And so, September the 1st, 1939, Hitler launched World War II, which ultimately cost 50 million lives. And what was his response when he found out that this had actually caused a major war? We know from Albert Speer, who wrote about this in Inside the Third Reich, that Hitler was at the Berghof, his mountaintop retreat in Berchtesgaden. And when the news came over the wireless that the British and the French had actually declared war, according to Speer, Hitler went bone white, just face drained of all color. And he turned around in his wing chair and stared directly at Ribbentrop, who was shaking visibly. And Hitler, in a quavering voice, said, "Now what do we do?" And that's what's going to happen at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue if Trump decides to go ahead with his plans. A bigger miscalculation, though, I think, is what Pete Hegseth is saying. His whole argument is that this is the biggest, most powerful, most fierce military in the world. Nobody's going to dare try and take us on. Look how big and how powerful we are. Here's the whole thing, Pete. The NATO countries don't have to pull a trigger to destroy the United States military. All they have to do is hit a few keystrokes on a computer and dump nearly $1.5 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. The United States is over $38 trillion in debt. The only thing keeping the United States afloat is the fact that NATO and China and Canada holds U.S. Treasury bonds. So if the United States wants to invade Greenland, just dump the Treasury bonds. And what would happen? Gas prices would skyrocket. The American dollar would tank faster than a falling stone. And the United States would enter a depression that would make the Great Depression look like you went into overdraft protection on your checking account. You may have the largest military in the world, but if they can't afford to put food on their table for their kids and you aren't paying them, do you really think they're going to go fight your war of imperialism and possibly bleed and die without a paycheck? Would you? Consider yourself updated.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is very sure. That is for sure.
There are two major miscalculations happening right now in the United States.
Yeah, that's for sure. Thank you for that, Sir Bartholomew. I don't know what to add to that. Okay. What would be the negative consequences for the countries dumping the treasury bonds? There would be some. I don't honestly know. I would have to look into it, Clibs. I'm sure there would be some. Okay. Great vid. Thank you very much, Sir Bartholomew. Great vid there. Okay. So, all right. So, give us the options and we'll see, but so far there's no other way. Yeah. Okay. All right, you guys. So, you know, I got a lot of pushback just a few moments ago because I did not explain what fascism is. I'm going to do let me do a poll here real fast. Let me do a poll. I'm going to do a poll. Because I go over it so much, I don't want to bore anyone who's in here frequently by going over it for like the 8,000th time. So I'm going to say, do you want me to explain fascism? Okay, and because I get it, if there's new people in here and they think I'm just using it as a word, okay. So this is over on YouTube. Please answer this question. Okay. Yeah, there is. There is a video. You know what? That's a good idea. That's actually a good point. Well, I actually have a Fascism 101 video, but it's earlier. And you know what? I'll just post a link to it. Okay. Well, we got, okay, you know what, guys? Give me a second. How about there is a link to an earlier video of mine. So, okay. 50% say yes. Let me just, let me link to one of my YouTube videos that I did on this. Give me a second here, guys. Ooh. Now, all right. CR. Okay. Yeah, how's everyone doing out there? Okay, so here's a clip. Now, this is from way back. This is not the highest quality video because I did this a while ago. Maybe I'll do a new one that's higher quality. But here you go, guys. For those that are interested, here you go. Paste. There is my video on what fascism is. Now, that's one definition. The problem with fascism, guys, is that there are jester reacts to jester. There are multiple. There are multiple, by the way, definitions of fascism. So it's okay, Mithril. You weren't being nasty. I get it, Mithril. It's an emotional time, okay? And I did get that. You don't need to apologize at all, Mithril. So, okay. So I just posted it there, guys. Let me explain. Okay, most of you said no. I just want to let me just tell you briefly here. The reason why it's hard to define fascism is the fact that there are multiple academic definitions. The key here is that there are certain traits that are general across all academic definitions. So if we look at the core of fascism, that is what you need to look into. Now, the video I just posted is me talking about one of the definitions by Umberto Eco. There are other ones. And so look up, there are some people you can look up. You can look up Roger Griffin. You can look up Paxton. You can look up Umberto Eco, Stanley Payne. There are multiple versions of it, but they're all generally around the same thing, in that it is a ultranationalist, far-right ideology characterized by a desire to renew the nation, basically have like a national rebirth, make America great again. And that is very exclusionary of outsiders, and basically puts struggle, conflict, and war on the top of a hierarchy of the things that are the most morally correct and right, okay? So, yeah, if you think that strength for strength's sake is a good thing, that is a very fascist way of thinking. And if you think, yeah, so that's my point, okay? That is a very fascist way of thinking. We could debate these things, but those are sort of a general idea. There are other things that other academics have explained. You just read that book, okay? Read those books, and then maybe watch that video I just posted, okay? Even though it's not that great because it was so long ago, but okay. I literally go point by point through Umberto Eco's list, all right? Yeah, and for other countries who have them on the books. All right, you guys. So let me see here, guys. Let me see. Let me see what did someone else send me a clip to react to or look at? Someone asked me a question here. There you go, A Bright Love. That's a pretty good definition. Fascism is a far-right, authoritarian, and ultranationalist political ideology characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, and the forcible suppression of opposition. That's pretty good. Pretty good. There's some things I could add to it or sort of tweak, but yeah. Okay, someone asked me about the war in Ukraine. Yeah, we can react to Aiden Ross Meowser. Where is that? Is that in the reactions channel? But first, let me talk about Ukraine. I'm afraid that's not true, C-Libs. You are correct that, okay, C-Libs says the Italian fascist manifesto is economically left. Is that what makes it right-wing? If the fact that it's nationalistic? That is a big part of it, C-Libs. So I'm sorry, you are partially right. Yes, there were, like, Mussolini used to be a member of the Communist Party. Nationalist economic populism is not left-wing, okay? It is a right-wing ideology, and also in practice, the manifesto of Italian fascism is not the same as fascism in practice, okay? In practice, it was not left-wing at all, okay? Even the Nazis called themselves, because that was a very popular ideology at the time, left-wing economics. So the Nazis called themselves National Socialists. They weren't. They were not socialist. As a matter of fact, those were some of the first people they threw in concentration camps. It's kind of like how North Korea calls themselves a republic, okay, a democratic republic. It's not, all right? Yep, you're right, C-Libs. Yep, but again, that doesn't mean that they were left-wing, because in practice, they were not. Okay. All right, you guys. So let me see here. Let's go to this. Someone asked me really fast. Someone asked me, yeah, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, excuse me. Yeah, correct, C-Libs. It was very much PR. And that, C-Libs, don't get me wrong. Mussolini did have some weird left-wing views about the economics of the country. But so that is not, I don't mean to say you're completely wrong, but ultimately he was not, he ended up hating the communists and literally beating them up and stuff. So, yeah, this is complicated, but you're, okay. So, what about Pol Pot? Pol Pot, see, this is very complicated again, guys. So, you will hear some people say that Pol Pot wasn't left-wing. I think I'm okay with saying he was left-wing, but, like, obviously not a very violent, horrible human being, right? Oh, you asked me how the Ukraine war will end? You guys probably won't like the answer, all right? You notice I have a Ukrainian flag on the wall behind me. I'm all for the liberation of Ukraine, but I don't think Ukraine's going to win the war. Right now, I don't know how they're ever going to get the territory back they've lost. Yep, you're right, C-Libs. Exactly. The Marxist, actually, the communists kicked him out of the party because they thought he was too nationalist. And then because of that, he kind of developed this hatred towards the left wing, which kind of grew into the fascist party. All right. All right. So we can move on here. Sorry, guys. I know I'm kind of in a stun lock. It's an interesting conversation we keep having. In humane society, we as socialists, all rich people dress the same, have the same, have the same cars, houses, and clubs. No, that's not socialism, I'm afraid, in humane society. Okay. All right. So, okay, let me refer. So, Ukraine. I'm deeply in supportive of Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. Putin is a monster. He's an imperialist. Unfortunately, I don't know how Ukraine can reclaim the territory they've lost. It should be up to them how long they want to resist for, but I don't see a way out of this that ends with Ukraine getting back the territory they lost. Yeah, exactly, C-Libs. But right now, even when Ukraine was supplied a lot of weapons that were the best, they still had trouble with offensive operations into that territory that Russia has taken. Because Russia has been in there for so long, they've established massive bunkers, lines of defense, and Ukraine is low on manpower. And you typically lose a lot more forces going on the offensive than you do on the defensive. I just don't think they have the strength, even with Western supplies, to take the territory they've lost. We haven't seen them able to take territory back. And Russia is losing a ton of soldiers and equipment. But they could ultimately just stop advancing and hold on to the territory they've taken. And they'd be fine because Ukraine wouldn't be able to push them out. So it's really sad situation for the Ukrainians. Again, folks, I do not have a monopoly on truth on this issue. That is just my view based off what I have seen. Okay, I don't see as much as I support Ukraine in there. Yeah, absolutely, Stanley. Okay, they've replaced some of their populations. They have, and so although Putin is a monster, and I wish he would be hung from a tree after being tried as a war criminal, alas, I don't know. I don't know how. I am deeply sad for the people of Ukraine. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Sir Bartholomew. Okay. That's down bad. The dude talked about. Yeah, we can't, Jonas. Yeah, Pol Pot was insane. Okay, Pol Pot was like one of the weirdest leaders of all time. All right, you guys. So let's talk about something. Yeah, virtual violence, correct. I don't see, and that's the other thing. I don't know they'll be able to get that territory back through diplomacy either. I just don't. I don't know, and so I don't know what to do. Okay. Right. Clibs says, yeah, might makes right is the law of the jungle. If the U.S. doesn't enforce international law, then there is no international law. That's true. I agree with that. If no one enforces international law, okay. My issue, Clibs, with what you said previously, and please forgive me, is that you implied that it makes it okay if to attack a sovereign country if it's weaker. Well, it's that sovereign country's fault that they're attacked because they're weaker. You see what I mean? Maybe I misunderstood you. All right. But by the way, we should also apply that to Israel, who is launching an illegal war of aggression and is murdering people in contravention of international law. The United States should probably enforce that law too, right? Not just the Russian invasion. Okay. That's true, Mithril, all right? So, okay, guys. I'm sorry I'm rambling on here. I hope you all don't mind. I know I'm probably scared a lot of people away with my rambling. So let's get on here. I'm going to see what else we have. Let me see what reactions we have to react to in the reactions channel. Okay, yeah, very true, Stanley. Guys, for the folks out here who disagree with me, I deeply appreciate your engagement. This is actually some of the most responsible, not responsible, but respectful engagement we've had on this channel. So really, thank you. Malzord, where's that Aiden Ross thing you mentioned? Did you say there was an Aiden Ross thing to react to? Because I'd like to see the Aiden Ross thing. That'd be kind of funny. What'd you say, Mad Sci Guy? Absolutely inhumane society, okay. Was there something in Aiden Ross thing you want me to react to? Okay, in the meantime, since there were some other things I could show all of you. Yeah, guys. Aiden Ross is like the streamer version of a slave I know. God, can't stand Aiden Ross. Boop-a-doop-boop-boo. Forgive me, folks. I'm trying to look around at some things. If you're the only one left, you're the only left that can actually form an argument. Oh, thank you, Jay's Journey. Really? Well, okay. Well, thank you for that compliment, Jay's Journey. I appreciate you saying that, really. Though, admittedly, there are other lefties that can form good arguments. I'm just, yeah, but fair. I think well, thank you. All right. I think by the way, I think my members, my community out there would partially disagree with you, though. Jay Journey says you're the only left-leaning channel that can actually form an argument. Sometimes I don't, but thank you. Okay, I'm just joking. All right. I don't think Mauser's here anymore. But all right, never mind. So we won't do that. I will say this: did I show this to you guys before? What Mike Pompeo said. Speaking of Israel, what Mike Pompeo said. So, you all will love this, I'm sure. Mike Pompeo, a monster. No, Libs, I have talked to too many fascists. I have. I literally studied fascists, so I've read and talked to a lot of fascists, okay? Yeah, that's fair, virtual violence. So, let's watch this, guys. This was Mike Pompeo at a conference or a meeting, and this is what he said about Gazans and history. All right. I don't know. He's not dead, Drizilla. So let's watch this. Okay. This is what Mike Pompeo said. I know my community will love this. You're all big supporters of Benjamin Netanyahu in the Israeli government. Okay, here we go.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza. Right?
Did you hear that? There's more. I just wanted to pause on that part so you can make sure you guys heard it. Did you hear what he said? We need to make sure that when the history books are written, that there's no talk about the right, Mithril? He just says it. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, not Pompeo, Benjamin Michalowski. Okay, what he said, okay, I'll rewind, Matt Sai, guys. So just to make sure you all heard that.
Right about the victims of Gaza.
I'm sorry, I gotta go back more. Here we go.
Story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right?
We need to make sure that when we write the history of this, the history books don't talk about the victims of Gaza. Okay, he just says that out loud. TJ says, no, he's correct. We also need to mention the genocidal state of Israel who perpetrated the genocide on those victims. We need to also mention the genocidal state. Yeah, okay. But he's saying we don't need to talk about the victims. He's saying we shouldn't talk about them at all. Okay.
They can't. The history.
And then to thunderous applause, of course. Yeah, I know. He's totally insulting our
I should be a little more
guys.
precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought. But the victims were the people.
Oh, my God. I know. Clibs, I love you, Clibs. Thank you. Please come back to the stream, even though we disagree on some things. You're right. Can Israel just chill out for 5 minutes? They're the tiny, weak friend at the bar who always starts fights that you actually fight. Oh, my God, Clibs, I know. Oh, my God. It drives me crazy. Can we defund them, too? Why are our tax dollars going to this vassal state that just keeps... All right.
...of the nation state of Israel. Though that the aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas, and we need to make sure that the history books reflect that, and that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our grandchildren, about it in a way that is serious and thoughtful and complete and moral.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows all about morality, doesn't he? Sure, he knows all about morality. You sent bits, Dolly Boy? Thank you, Dolly Boy. I didn't see them. Thank you very much, Dolly Boy, for the bits. Really, fantastic. Okay, so Jay's journey. Now, guys, I know today I'm talking with chat a lot. Please forgive me. I know it can be boring for people. We have someone in chat here. Okay. Yep, there are. Guys, I'd like to point out, guys, there are Jewish folks in here who are not pro-Israel. Let's just point that out, okay? Or not pro the genocidal Israeli government, okay? Regardless, Jay's journey says both sides of this conflict have been killing each other for 2,000 years. Jay's journey. I know we may disagree on this. It's not that. It is much simpler than that, all right? A lot of times I'm a historian, right? A lot of times this conflict is talked about like, oh, well, you can't understand it. It's been going on for thousands of years. No, it's actually quite a bit simpler than that. It really is. It is settler colonialism. I want you to imagine what would happen. Okay, let me give you an example. What would happen if there were Muslims? I'm just using Muslims as a random example. Muslims who came to Texas, started kicking Christians off of their land and farms, created cities, towns, started herding those Christians into giant open-air concentration camps, and then once in a while, lobbing bombs into those concentration camps to quote-unquote mow the lawn and keep them obedient. Now, I don't know about you, Jay's Journey. I suspect that what would happen is you would see massive religious radicalization amongst those Christians. They'd probably start engaging in terror tactics against the Muslim settlers, and they'd probably be kind of hard to get along with after you've taken all that land, slaughtered so many of them, and they may even kill some innocent people, some innocent Muslims, okay, in response. That is the general trend of this whole conflict, all right, was people being pushed off their land violently, herded into concentration camps, and then the response by those people is then deemed as evil and horrible. So it is not as complicated as a situation as it appears. The steps in the history, yeah, a lot has happened. A lot has happened historically, okay? Like there's been a lot of events. But the general trend is exactly what I just said. It is not an issue of, like, I don't blame the Palestinians for constantly resisting and for being radicalized. I don't. Any group would be radicalized. Ken? Okay, Stanley Yelnats. The thing is, there are a bunch of Muslim countries where Muslims can live. So, Stanley, there are a bunch of Christian countries in the world. If I, let's say, started kicking a bunch of French people out of France and then said to them, well, you can go live in Germany, you can go live in the UK, you can go live in Poland, is that an argument that can be made? Or is that sort of, how do I frame this, stereotyping? That somehow because people are of the same religion, they have the same, what's the term? Interests or whatever. They have a certain country and culture that they hold dear. The framing of this as a religious conflict is not true. This is a political conflict where religion is used by both sides to enable colonialism and violence. Okay? You see what I mean? Let me see here, guys. The framing of this religious as a religious comment is Zion. Yeah. Yep. No, I got what you're saying, TJ. Okay. Inhumane society, I partially disagree. You say religion is against violence. Religion can be used for or against violence, but what matters is what it's being used for. You can justify violence with Christianity. You can. You can justify violence with Islam. You can. You can justify violence with Judaism, with Hinduism. Even atheists can justify violence in something. You see what I mean? Muslim people are like any other group. And if they're abused and they're mistreated and their land is stolen from them and they're treated like crap and they're thrown into an open air camp, you're going to see some resistance. All right? You're going to see radicalization. Okay? So this is not about, it's not about Islam. It is about the human condition. All right? Does that make sense? Yeah, there you go, Jonas. Yep, exactly, Matt Saigai. I'm oversimplifying, Matt Saigai. There are, by the way, Palestinians who are Christians. Okay? All right. Do we understand? Does that make sense? Yep, Meowzord, guys, what happened? We kept killing the Native Americans, and they kept fighting back. There were multiple times where Native Americans raided like settlements and things like that. I could give you example of slave uprisings. Do we blame enslaved people? There was Nat Turner, who had a massive slave rebellion in the United States, and his group of enslaved people went from plantation to plantation, burning plantations and killing Bye-bye, Sir Bartholomew. Slave owners and sometimes their children. You know, hey, I'm not for killing children or killing innocent people, but if you abuse people long enough, atrocities are going to happen. It's kind of like cornering an animal, right? Do we want to blame those enslaved people for acting that way after all the abuse they had suffered? It's only a human response. You're going to be angry. All right? Okay. You're not in trouble, Sir Bartholomew, at all. Okay. All right, you guys. So, guys, I think I'm over chatting now. I think I've scared basically everyone away from my stream. I think there's only like 17 people left in here in the YouTube stream, and not nearly that many in because I'm just rambling. Okay. Okay. So, guys, let's do this. What time is it? It's 3:55. I think I'm going to get off now. I've been rambling for a while today. This was not the best stream I've done because I was talking to people in chat so much. So, all right. Let's do this, guys. I'm going to get off for now. I will not be on tomorrow, probably. Just as a reminder. Yes, what's up, Matt Saigai? How are you doing, Matt Saigai? Something you wanted to say? Thank you guys who joined us today. I'm going to post in the stream here a link to our Discord. I really recommend everyone join, even people who disagree with us. We need some more disagreement in our Discord, okay? I really do respect all the people in here who are talking with us because they are respectful. Even if I may have not always been respectful. But let me see here. Let me do this. Feel free to get into it with us in the server. Where I think we can all acknowledge that we are all human beings. Yeah, you too, Inhumane Society. Great having you here, really. There's the Discord server. We're all humans. Thank you for treating us all like humans and that, okay? I know, Balladine, it's not great. Okay? So, all right. What do you mean, Matt Saiga? What Discord chat? What Discord chat do you mean? All right. Bye-bye, Drizilla. Okay, guys, so I'm going to get off for now. Thank you for letting me ramble on and on at people in the chat. That's for sure virtual violence. You should also note that Jesus did flip tables, okay? Okay. All right, you guys. So tomorrow, guys, I am not going to be on because I'm going to be going to, well, I have something I got to go do. I will be on this weekend. We might have a special guest this weekend. I'm going to put my face screen up. Yeah. We might have a special guest later this week to talk about what it's like to work in the retail in the United States and how horrible it is to be underpaid and some of the things a retail worker goes through. So we might have a special guest to talk about that. Hey, Drizilla, maybe we'll make out too. I don't know. Okay. So we might do that. Okay, thank you, Mithril. Thank you for saying so. I was like, I scared a lot of people away. We didn't have nearly as many views. Thank you, Clibs. Oh, Clibs, just what to say. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Just messing with you, Clibs. All right. So, and by the way, Clibs, all the people who came in here, normally I'm funnier than this, okay? Today, I was not really in a funny mood, but normally I'm funnier. So don't think I'm some dour, sad lefty who's always bashing things. I'm also kind of fun and funny, but you didn't get to see that today. Normally, I also put on face makeup to complete the look. Anyway, so don't judge me too harshly. So, all right, fruitier than this. What'd you say, okay, TJ? Yeah, I'm definitely fruitier than I normally am. Okay, I'm definitely fruitier than I normally am. All right, don't let him lie to you. Retro Asher, how dare you? Stanley, great having a conversation with you. Loved having a conversation with you. Thank you, Clibs. Right, since I know you might not be a lefty, Clibs, I think this is perfect for a lefty. It matches what I believe in, right? Okay, I'm joking. I don't think it makes me. All right. That thing's being chat. Yeah, Mithril, it's only because you're always causing such disorder. This is what happens when you let an anarchist in your chat. They're always causing disorder that I have to come down and smash with the hammer of the state, Mithril. Okay. All right, you guys. On that note, I'm going to get off now. Jonas, switch them to what, Jonas? Switch them to homosexuality or switch them to being a lefty? Okay. Elevator lady, where have you been, elevator lady? Elevator lady, where have you been? Elevator lady? I feel like you've abandoned me. And I haven't seen you for a long time, and I started panicking. And well, you should stay around more, elevator. Thank you, elevator lady. Oh, I started losing all my hope in the world, elevator lady. Okay, hello, elevator lady. Drusilla? Yeah. TJ, how dare you? How dare you make fun of my fruitiness? Okay, TJ? All right, how dare you? My fruitiness is what makes me sweet, like Fruity Pebbles, or I don't know, sugar. Okay, right, TJ? Okay, maybe you should be more fruity, TJ. Maybe you should be more fruity. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you, Outer Signal. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being respectful in the chat generally. All right. Okay, guys, everyone ready? You know what I'm about to say. First of all, free Palestine. Free it. Free Palestine. Okay, by the way, can I just point out that TJ is a hero? TJ lives in a place where it is very hard to talk about these things, and yet TJ doesn't like that I'm going to do this, I'm sure. I don't care. I'm the authority figure here, TJ. I can say what I want. TJ lives in a place where it's very hard to speak about Palestine, okay? And yet TJ is doing everything TJ can to do that in a very brave way. I know I'd be worried about speaking about Palestine if I lived in this place. TJ is not. And TJ is actually making... No, Jonas. I don't want to tell people. In case TJ doesn't want me to tell people where TJ lives. But TJ is making a video about Gaza that he's going to be posting on YouTube. Okay. Melzord, where did you go? I wanted to find that Aiden Ross clip, but you abandoned me. You abandoned me, and I needed you, Malzord. Even though I was being a boring streamer, I needed you, and you left me. Okay. So we all okay. Oh, okay. Never mind, Malzord. But TJ is a great guy. I just wanted to point out that there are heroes out there who are resisting as best they can. Okay, even if they're in an environment where it's really hard to do so without being labeled as certain things. Okay, guys, everyone ready? And by the way, TJ has a YouTube channel, which I'll share sometime with everyone when I get TJ's permission, so that you can go to his YouTube page and support him. He is a resistor, just like all of us. Okay, I know clips, but they're fun. They're fun to react to. Clips. They're perfect for a jester, right? To laugh at. All right, everyone ready? Even though TJ is homophobic and says I'm fruity, okay, I forgive you, TJ. I forgive you. He's not actually homophobic. He's just very funny. Okay, everyone ready? First of all, yes, I thought so, TJ. First of all, free Palestine. Second of all, never stop resisting, and free Sudan, and Viva Venezuela, and protect Greenland. And Ukraine. All right. Second of all, never stop resisting. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. That includes a new watch me. Okay, not to think for yourselves. I shouldn't say that. I should say to question authority figures. That includes a new watch me. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. See what other people are saying. Don't get caught in an information silo, because the internet, it can be easy to see and hear people and then believe them without looking things up. I can get things wrong. I'm not perfect. See what other people are saying. Don't get caught in an information silo. We're living in a fascist moment in this country, not only in this country, but in other countries around the globe. Fascism thrives in an environment where people have lost faith in their democratic institutions. In order to fight that, we need major reforms in this country. You cannot stand in the center. If you stand in the center, the fascists will walk all over you. That's been proven historically. We need major reforms. We need people to have faith in their democratic institutions again. We need economic reforms so people feel more secure in their lives, okay? Please don't stand in the center. On the wall behind me is a sword. The name of that sword is Chainbreaker. It's been passed down in my family for many years since the Civil War. Why do I have it back there? I have it back there to remind everyone that our ancestors made some major sacrifices for some of the things we have today, some of the rights we have, some of the economic liberties, civil liberties, other liberties, okay? We cannot let their sacrifice go to waste, folks. Please, please, please do not let their sacrifice go to waste, not only here, but around the world. And always, always, always fight for a better future. And on that note, folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, noon, night. I love you all very much. I may not be on tomorrow because I have to do something, but I will be on this weekend. Love you all very much. Bye-bye. If the button will let me get out. Okay, yes, it